all good. Yep. 5:29, that's pretty close, isn't it?
All right. I think
5:30
we're ready.
somewhere.
Jeff, we're ready. I'll get the meeting started, so. All right, would everybody join me? Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Daryl, you want to have Jeff explain what's going on with the audio visual?
Yeah, we can do it in the audience. Yeah, sure.
So, Jeff or Larry?
We'll have Larry. Yeah. We all set and recording and everything. This is all new. So, Larry, can you just give us a quick buzz around of what we're doing tonight? This is the.
Well, I hope you have a Selectmen meeting.
Well, I haven't convened it yet, so come on up and we'll state your name and who you are and what you do.
LCTV. This is the first run of the new system. Obviously, your cameras are still from your old systems here in standard def resolution, but everything else is new. As you see, the monitor is new and computer in there. And you do have a dead mic over here that I talked with Matt about getting that fixed. And so we are recording it tonight to our LCTV YouTube channel. Anybody that's out there can see it on YouTube Live. It'll also be on our broadcast channel tomorrow. Next meeting you'll have it will be on the Damariscotta Town YouTube, as well as our broadcast channel the next day. And I guess that is any questions. I mean, that's about it that I can think of. I mean,
We're good. We're ready to.
we'll have the link. It'll be available on your town page, and I can send all of you folks a link tomorrow to your own computers if you give me your email. I've got your emails, and so you can just for your own use to review what the meeting. What did I say? Any
All right.
questions? I can.
Any questions on the board? We good? All right. Thank you.
And Jeff Kachakian is the cameraman.
Behind the scenes over there. So, all right. So we are gonna switch things up a little bit. We're gonna open and convene with the Board of Assessors meeting first. We can get that out of the way. So you can come on up and introduce yourself.
Jim Murphy. I'm your acting temporary pinch hitting assessor's agent. I'm trying to recruit people for you or somebody for you, and I've talked with one person at length. We're trying to put you in a better spot. I have offered to Matt that if you hire somebody that's brand new to the business, then I'm across the bridge, and we did it once before. We can do it again. So, but I don't know where you're going to go at this point. I can keep your lights on for a few months, but I'm not your permanent solution. I'm sorry to say. I would like to be, but there's not 9 days in a week, so it's not going to work.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll do the best I can. You've got a great staff, and they are very helpful and very supportive, and we'll keep you moving forward for a little bit. But come February, it's not going to be good. So, and so I have two things for you. The assessor's return for Lincoln County is available and ready for signatures. The amount of $501,832,047. And I believe I have a tax commitment documents ready for you as well tonight at the mill rate of $15.90. Your overlay will be 80,000. That's probably more than sufficient. Matt and I have spoken briefly about things, and I try to stay in the communication circle with that, but he's happy, I'm happy. That's how it works. So that's where we're at.
Okay. You look pretty good.
I hope so. I haven't been involved here for 8 months. So what I checked from Matthew, everything looked good. Just wasn't his cup of tea, I guess. And I understand that. You got to be a little bit off in the corner sometimes as an assessor. So that's okay. But it looks, what you've got looks good. Looks really good.
I'm good with moving the 15.9.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
So 3 pieces of paper, 4 signatures. And if you'd like to do a motion for Lincoln County, Lincoln County warrant as well, that would be also quite acceptable.
Daryl, if I could just give you some context here
Yes.
for this, while you're signing that.
Yep.
This will be the 5th year in a row that the board has reduced the tax rate. And that's, of course, not only due to the town's budget, tight budget, but also the schools. We've seen decreases there as well.
It's
5 years in a row.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Most of my towns are in the same kind of boat. They're
Yeah.
They're pretty close. There is some, I'm skeptical about the 55% state funding going forward. This economy won't last forever, but today it is what it is. If you're in business, and I know some of you are, you can't find enough people. And you got to get them to show up and not look at their cell phone every 2 minutes. So I'm skeptical of that. Revenue sharing is going up a lot next year from this year on all the towns. Still skeptical of that. It's
See if it lasts or how
see
long
if it lasts, but let's plan. Think about a year or 2 down the road too. I'm always concerned about spiking taxpayers down and up. I'd rather, flat is good, down a little is great. But
The big jumps and fluctuations and all good.
that's what people don't like change. Yep. It's not that it's right or wrong. It's just that shock. That's problematic for people. And I'm sympathize with that. They plan ahead and it can be a big deal. So a lot of moving parts in assessing.
Yeah.
No, it's not just the numbers. It's about how it affects people individually and that's important.
Complicated area.
Yeah, it is. A little bit of science, a little bit of technology, and a whole lot of art finger painting sometimes to get it all right.
Guesswork.
Sometimes just do the best you
Educated
can.
guesswork.
Educated guesswork. You do the best you can with what you got. So,
Thank you for all you do.
thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. It's,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I won't, I just told Matt, I won't abandon you, but I kind of feel responsible. It's not really my fault, but
We appreciate you
so. I
hanging in
do.
there and getting.
Yep. So you want a motion to sign the
Make
Lincoln
a motion
County
on the.
That's the county assessment.
county commitment, county, so you want to see it?
Yeah, let me grab that from you, Jim. Okay. That's on me. So we're just making a motion to accept the
132 is it?
the 501.
Yeah,
Just wanna have the motion. to
That's the
read.
number we
Yep.
had
Yeah.
in the budget and
Yep.
in the warrant for the town meeting.
We're going to pay it either way, so.
Yeah.
By law, we have.
Might as well
to-
sign.
You have to anyway. So.
I wanted to show them a penny one year.
So, yeah, do I hear a motion or anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the county assessment of 501, 832.47.
Oh, good memory. Yeah, I'll read it there.
All right, can I make cheat
Move
sheet?
seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. So sign that one up.
Oh, but Jim, thank you for everything.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Hopefully we can buddy you up and keep you around.
Stretch the week.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Anyway.
My wife's beginning to wonder who I am. So We'll keep it moving.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. So I'll keep trying to find somebody too.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
very
Appreciate
much.
help. And we'll-
We appreciate it.
You may need to advertise and
Sign on the back too.
I don't know what that is.
There's two. I think it might be a copy.
Questions, got a lower amount. Oh, it's last year's.
Oh, wait. I'll sign that one.
Sign. Sign the cheaper one.
That was 2020, so it's in the back of that.
Okay.
So, all good.
Any other questions for Jim here? Are we? That's good.
Thank you, Jim.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, do we need to adjourn from the
Yes.
assessors or?
I'll make a motion to adjourn from the assessors.
Second. 5 seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, and with that, we'll open the Board of Selectmen's meeting for August 4th, 2021. Yeah.
Just about.
Just stop. So, Matt, the minutes, we haven't seen the minutes yet. Those will be,
Right, we'll send those out
okay.
later.
All right. So we'll move on to
Cream rises, yeah.
our financial reports. We have one payroll warrant number 4 today.
I'll move that.
All right,
I'll
Josh.
second.
Mark seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I wasn't here.
Did you payroll warrant? We moved past it. Sorry, Louis.
Sorry.
Yeah, these aren't ready yet. But we
Oh,
just
okay.
a payroll warrant.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry.
I did.
Josh and then
All right.
Mark, Linda.
Thank you.
AP accounts payable 5.
I'll move that.
Second.
1 second. Any discussion?
Matt, there's 2 separate things in here. One's printed accounts payable warrant 5 with a lower amount, and then there's another sheet in here that's got a higher amount, but it doesn't have it's just a preview. One was 168 something, and one was 169. Right, Mark? Wasn't that?
Added 1,000.
One was 168, 914, 67, and the other one was 169, 220, 34. And this has printed number 5.
Yeah, I would, if you would, could you approve the one that has the initials on it, and I'll find out what the
Well,
discrepancy is and send you a.
I guess we can do the amount at 169, and then you can deal with
Okay,
that.
then I can always, yeah. Okay.
You can
yeah,
deal with that.
Scale it back. Yep, I appreciate that. I apologize for that
No
error.
problem.
No problem. Yeah. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
This one.
Okay, so 5.
I'm sorry that I missed
Whoops.
the amount and who did the motions.
Sorry, Tom, I signed on you.
169, 220, 34.
Josh made the motion and Tom seconded. Yeah, no problem. We'll slow down a little bit. It's the cameras.
I'm cruising. I gotta get out of here. Larry wants me out of here.
So we're going to move on to, do we have any presentations tonight? I think we do.
We do.
Yeah.
We have a Public Safety and Accessibility Committee. Marianne Mosian has, I probably pronounced your name wrong, right? Has prepared a survey, and she took the lead in getting it online, had a very good response to the survey. There were that many bicyclists in the region, but she's going to give you a presentation, and also Jean Moon, who's the co-chair of the collaborative, is here. And just want to say they're all doing a fantastic job. So turn it over to Marianne.
Just say your name into the microphone there, so the folks at home and let us know who you are.
Sure. Hi, my name is Mary Ann Moisen, and I'm really happy to be here to talk about our bicycle survey. As a group, we really wanted to focus a little more on bicycle access and safety, and we needed a place to start. So we thought we'd collect some data and get some information about where people are riding their bicycles, how often they ride, what are some barriers to riding, and if people had suggestions to help make Damariscotta more bicycle friendly. What I'll do today is I'll go over some just brief highlights of the survey, but then I want to go question. We have a PowerPoint with some visuals, but there's a lot of really good information to share. And before I get started, I just wanted to acknowledge all of our community collaborators that we had on this project. Lots of people came together to help make it happen. Certainly the town of Damariscotta and Matt being on our committee. We had the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission involved. Our member, Emily, who's a county planner, helped out a lot, and she was on our subcommittee that helped do the survey. Coastal Rivers Conservation Trust and Stephen Huffnagel, who's also our committee, the YMCA, the library, the schools, and a special thanks to Kate Martin at Healthy Lincoln County. She was very instrumental in hosting a survey on their platform and helping us shape our questions so we get really good information from the survey. So just a few highlights. We had 136 respondents. real high number and good quality comments as well. We captured a wide range of ages of people, and including people who have kids at both of the schools or were students themselves. There were really no big surprises that we found for those of us who ride our bikes in town or choose not to ride in town, with safety being the biggest concern. Speed of drivers, lack of paved shoulders, or some type of bike path that people might be able to ride on kept coming up as consistent barriers to riding their bikes more often. So what I'd like to do, as I said, is go through question by question. So I think we have the PowerPoint we can put up. Jeff's going to help us with that.
You're pretty
Might be a
close.
different version. All right, yeah.
You can just arrow through these.
Which one do I use? Oh, perfect. All right. All right, so our first question, whether permitting, how often do you ride your bicycle? So I think what's important to know is that 77% of our responders said they ride at least several times a month. And as you can see, some people even more. Actually, 50% said they ride daily or several times a week, which is pretty high. And just some of the comments we got: I would like to ride my bike more, but don't feel safe due to traffic. We would like to ride several times a week. We moved here in July and can't find where we can go biking safely with kids. Speeding is a definite barrier. We'd like to ride more, but we live on Church Street and people drive so fast that the kids are scared. So those are the kinds of comments that we kept getting. And that was just the first question: whether permitting, how often do you ride your bike? Okay, so reasons why people ride their bike. Of course, exercise and recreation came up top, high on our list. It was interesting that 12% of the people said they commute to work on their bicycle. And it's also really important for us to keep in mind that there's some people that that's the only way they can commute to work. So having a safe access to for bicycle riding is really important for those types of folks. All right. So what prevents you from biking more? As you can see, 95% of people said roads are too narrow or they lack shoulders or bike lanes, and 70% said cars drive too fast. People noted poor road conditions. I worry about my safety. I worry about distracted drivers. We would bike every day, weather permitting, if we felt safer. And ours is not a bike-friendly area. Many drivers seem to view it as a nuisance. Also, people just aren't on the lookout for cyclists. So, some strong opinions. Okay, so this question, where do you bike in Damariscotta, really is going to give our collaborative information on where to focus on our efforts to improve bike safety. So Church Street, Main Street, downtown, and Business Route 1 came up really high on the list. Those are real sort of thoroughfares for people to get from point A to point B. So even though people will tell us, we'll say in the next slide, that Main Street and Business Route 1 are they bike more often if it was safer. People use it because, you know, you got to get over the bridge and through Main Street to get from one place to another. At any rate, that's good information for us to have as a committee. And if we move forward making some changes, we can use that data. So what roads would you ride on more often if there were safety improvements? These 4 roads came up consistently here and in the comments. Biskie Road, Bristol Road, the part that's in town. As soon as you hit the Bristol line, there's wide paved shoulders, and people who ride long distances like that, need to access that, and they don't feel safe in our town on that part of the road. And again, Main Street downtown and Main Street Business Route 1 are 2 other areas that people want more safety improvements on. And several people on this question noted that if there were bike trails or bike paths, that they would bike more often. We had one person comment that we did have one person say they've seen worse car traffic in areas, but most people were saying things like this: I've used a bike on all of these roads. They are all, in a technical sense, lethal to bike on. I think money could be better spent looking at creative solutions for dedicated bike routes. So offering some ideas as well. So if off-road options were available for biking in town, which would people use? So I think what's important to highlight here, a lot of people would love a paved path. They're very expensive, but 2/3 of the people who answered this question said a gravel path would be helpful for them too. So that's a much less expensive option. And there's a lot of people who would love to be doing more mountain biking in town, but there are not a lot of dedicated trails for mountain biking. Oh, my questions got out of order. Hang on. Question 8, thank you. So these were questions getting at children who might be riding their bikes to school. So if we just look at the bars for yes and no, so if you have children who attend Great Salt Bay School, do they ride their bikes to school? So only 5% said yes, they do, and 26% said no. They have children that go to that school, but they don't ride their bike there. And some of the reasons, again, were safety concerns. My son does ride to school, but I'm always worried as there seems no safe place to ride and cars drive so fast. And in this question, someone pointed out, what about people with special needs, disabilities? There's really no way for those individuals to access safe biking in our town.
I got a question. How
Yes.
many responded to how many are riding their bicycles to school?
I know, let me look. So 7 out of 39 who said they had kids at Great Salt Bay School. So that's 18% of the people who said they had, who filled this out, who
Thank
said
you.
they had kids that go. Good question. Oops. Go back. No, not why not. Okay, so this question is about Lincoln Academy, which is not in our town, but people who live in our town go there. So we had a similar breakout on this where we had 5 respondents say they ride their bikes to school, and 25 said no, they don't. So and really some of the same reasons. One comment was, honestly, if you build it, we will bike it. And another person said, we work at Lincoln Academy, but don't see many or any bikes or cyclists there. It would be great to see biking encouraged and have a safer bike lanes or paths and trails in town. All right, so this was a little bit of a complicated question, but we were trying to get an idea on how who's riding and how they're riding. So people can ride all by themselves, or also to see if how many people with families are out there riding with younger children, with older children, if there are any large groups of bicycles riding through our town. So most of the people who filled out our survey said they ride by themselves. And some people said they ride with their family, but we had a lot more comments, particularly from people with young kids who said they just don't feel safe and they don't know where to go. So this next question was about looking at some potential improvements we could do in our town and what folks, they were able to rank these choices, which is why there's quite so many bars. But I can tell you the biggest things were bike lanes or paved shoulders on the roads. In terms,
Question.
yes.
The orange bar on the far right is pretty significant. What's in there?
So that's a good question. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so that question was, that's just how people were ranking it. So if you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choices there, a lot of people chose other as their last choice, right?
Right.
So
But there was no
no, well, there were, we didn't have comments specifically on this question, but the next question is going to relate to this, which was, oh, we don't have it on this because there were no numbers, was what else do you want the committee to know about your experiences? So that followed the question about ranking improvements. We had 72 people make comments on that, 72 out of the 136 people who filled it out had lengthy comments to say about what we could do. It would be hard to highlight all of this, but I will say again, trouble spots came up with Business Route 1, Bristol Road, and Biskie Road. And I think this comment sort of nicely encapsulates some of the things people were saying. This, as you know, is an exceptionally beautiful part of the country. The scenery and fresh air are wonderful for cycling. However, in my experience, the infrastructure in Damariscotta is inhospitable to those of us on 2 wheels. The creation of bike lanes and or wider paved shoulders would encourage more people to ride, promoting fitness, health, time spent in front of local businesses, and a myriad of other benefits. And someone else noted that too, Damariscotta is so beautiful. It would be lovely to be able to more comfortably move through town on my bike without worrying about getting hit by cars. Lovely town, very limited riding opportunities. But you have I believe you have a copy of all this too, so you can look at all of these multiple comments at your leisure. And then we just asked some simple at the end, some simple demographic information about who was filling out the survey. So we had a lot of people who were year-round residents and a few visitors or residents of other towns that drive through Damariscotta, ride through Damariscotta, I should say. We had a nice representation of a variety of age ranges filling out the survey, which is good. And yeah, and that was it. I think the question somehow I skipped was one about people's riding, specific loops of bike riding that they do. So to get an idea, because one of the strategies you can do is set up with signage dedicated bike routes so that it alerts motorists that that's a common place that people ride and to look out for them. So
We have some of that already, right?
We have some signs entering town that ask motorists to be alert for riders. I'm not sure if we have dedicated bike route signs
have-
up in town.
We don't have, well, I've seen some maps that do have bike trails through town, coastal trail system or whatever,
Right.
but nothing's been.
But in
designated
terms of
by the town.
signage on the road that says bike route.
Yeah,
Yeah. At the end of
Egypt Road. right?
Egypt Road.
Egypt Road has it,
Yeah,
yes.
it's going on.
and then we do have the signs that we just put up last year,
Right,
the
those
state
are the ones
allowed
I
us to put
checked.
up last year. On make room for bicycles.
So just to wrap up, and then I'll be done. So yes, we talked about the trouble spots. One of the, what we learned overall too, in terms of bigger picture, we identified a need to work on bike routes with a regional approach, because a lot of the people riding long distances cross 2 and 3 town lines to get their favorite routes in. There is great interest in town in a dedicated bicycle path, especially for safe family bike riding. There's interest in creating mountain bike trails. We did have several comments that more bicycle racks in town would be helpful. And I think, just to wrap up, that besides addressing the safety concerns of our current residents and providing those opportunities for exercise and recreation as a part of a healthy lifestyle, we really see improving bicycle access and safety as a growth opportunity for the town to attract more business and tourism to the area and to make our community more attractive to potential home buyers. Anything else to add to that?
Good job.
Covered it, yeah.
Thanks.
I have to say, it was a very comprehensive survey.
Mhm.
You know, we looked it over the other day and it was impressive for the amount of information you had and the amount of people that.
Yeah, I think we had a really
responded
good,
to it.
yeah, we
Yeah,
did. We had a
yeah,
really good response,
impressive.
and clearly the people who responded
Yeah.
had some very,
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
lot of information they wanted to share.
Yeah.
Make sure we all got the message. So we're gonna, as a group, continue to work with the town and to help support measures to help making the town more safe.
I would add that you'll probably hear from us again on this issue.
So,
Because clearly there is safety concern,
so
especially for children.
years ago, when the state paved Biskie Road, we asked them to pave the shoulders
Mhm.
and we got a big no.
Mm.
So a couple of years ago, we decided, well, the state decided to pave Bristol Road, so we asked them to pave the shoulders. They told us no. So
Right.
we asked to do reclaim and we were gonna pay extra to put reclaim
Mhm.
shoulders. And they did a terrible job of what they were supposed to do and they never charged us and we never paid them. So we tried.
Yeah.
We've been
well,
trying
that's
to
great.
alleviate
That
these
is great to
issues.
hear. Yeah.
But I mean, with the forefront of the bikeability of the town of
Mhm.
Damariscotta. In the
Didn't have
rural,
a- Didn't have a bike lobby then either.
no, we didn't have a bike lobby. So all the other roads, Belvedere and Egypt and all those, we're looking at, coming up to pave, but we only have so much footage of right away, so
Mhm.
those roads will not have a bike access. I mean,
Yeah.
but the roadways will be better.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. Yeah. And I know we've been working closely with Matt, who's working with the town as well to try to work on those issues of,
Mhm.
yeah, the state roads.
And as far as the off-road mountain biking and paths, I mean, Coastal Rivers has a
Mhm.
huge, enormous amount of tracts of lands in the town of Damariscotta.
Right.
Some that they just acquired, off of School Street.
Mhm.
There's forest land out there with some
Yep.
trails. I mean,
Yeah. And we're
That may
familiar
be-
too with some trails behind the YMCA and, well, Lincoln Academy, though that's in Newcastle, but we're working and collaborating with our community partners to see about. Beefing up.
CMP has, we've had some limited conversations with CMP about a possible off-road trail near some power lines.
Mhm.
Matt, you know a little bit more about the proximity of
You can
that.
grab the microphone.
Yeah. Oh,
Just give us your name and introduce yourself.
So we've talked to CMP, and it's been about a conversation, but they were open to the idea of allowing the town to have some access to this power line area. And Matt, can you comment on
Sure.
the locale?
Oh, a lot of it goes through private property. And so we would need to get the access from those private property owners. We did talk with some other towns that had done something similar where they were able to get access through the utility line trails or right of way. And they were successful at it. A few of us walked part of the CMP trail, and it would need quite a bit of work to make that bikeable. But that is a possibility, especially for mountain bike travel. So, yeah.
I'd say some of the bigger challenges for you would be like, with Main Street and where, the limited, it's very limited.
Yes.
That would appear to be more of an outreach program, maybe, getting people to realize the bikes are out there and maybe educating the public more.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Awareness signs, and also using those side roads, or there was one comment particularly with as improvements in the parking lot happen, maybe making some bike lanes there so we can avoid most of Main
Yeah,
Street.
yeah, that's
You
a
still
hard
have to get over the bridge.
Yeah,
but-
That'd be
still at the bridge.
That'd be a good place for the racks too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, there's a rack at the library and one next to Misery Gulch now, but I'm not
Right.
sure how visible they are for folks. And I just want to add that the grant that we received, we've been awarded from Maine DOT, McDonald's, includes a bikeway. So they're starting on the Maine DOT folks are starting on the survey work to determine how much property is actually in the right of way. And they're going to come back with some recommendations in September. But when I talked with them the other day, it was Patrick Adams and Dan Loring. Dan Loring will be our project manager on that project. Their thought was we ought to consider a multi-use trail for both bicycles and pedestrians. I'm not sure exactly where it would go. We got to see what the right of way is there first, but that was their initial thought. So that I just wanted to say that the bicycle way is being considered as part of the Main Street sidewalk project.
I'd be interested in that bike trail that was developed years ago. That's why that sign's there in the Egypt Road. That does go through coastal routes.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of discussion on where that goes through town.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see that.
In terms of getting some of the history there of how that bike route was established
Yeah,
or
that-
reasons why
Because I
that
remember
was. Yeah.
sitting in on those meetings over the fire department.
Yeah.
And what it was, we tried to make that so that wherever they went down Round Pond,
Mhm.
out
Yeah,
Egypt Road, it came
Yeah.
back into town because
Yes.
we wanted those bicyclists in town.
yeah, yeah.
Eating and
Mhm.
staying overnight.
Right,
But there was quite a
exactly.
bit of work that went into that. And if there's any grants or funding that would help
Mhm.
maintain some of them.
Yeah, certainly the Bicycle Coalition of Maine has lots of resources in that regard and is more than willing to help community groups and towns set up those kinds of bike routes. So, yeah, we can
I'm
look
thinking
into
it's
that.
bigger though. I think
There are
it's
towns that are
northeast.
very, well, they're very far ahead of us in terms of their bicycle trail system. The whole Rockport, Camden, Rockland, Thomaston area has a fantastic system, as does Brunswick. So, I mean, those are, we've talked to some of those folks and trying to get some ideas. We also have the former executive director of the Bicycle Coalition on the collaborative committee. So he has some insights. He worked with Mary Ann on this survey. So,
Good.
I mean, we're just at the very beginning stages of this, though.
Start somewhere.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
No,
for
thank
your
you.
time
Thank
and
you.
For your input.
Yeah, very
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. Okay, Matt, any, do we have citizens comments or any correspondence tonight? What do you-
No, unless, I don't have any written correspondence to review with you, but you know, if there's
Anybody out
anyone
in
here
the,
that has-
out in the audience?
Well, it's part of the reason I'm here today. They are the speeding issues on Church Street. And
Sure, come on up.
Grab them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to cut anybody off.
No, you spoke up. You spoke up
thanks.
first.
I know.
So we just, yeah, just give us your name and.
My name is Corey Redonnet. I live on Church Street. And I've been talking to Chief Warlock for a few years regarding the speed. 1 miles an hour from, I think, 40 in 2 different sections, which was great to see. And I would like to see and find a way. I know I need to discuss this with Matt and see where we can go with this, but if all of Church Street was 25 miles an hour, I think avoiding a future accident.
Turns down through there.
There are some.
Yeah.
And it's just coming down the hill. It's a shortcut to town. Everybody. And now that we've slowed down Business Route 1, mine has become or Church Street has become a thoroughfare. And it's early trucks in the morning. It's late at night. It's the middle of the day. The only time it ever slows down is for Pumpkin Fest. I've requested several times from the police department the speed sign that shows your speed. It's always unavailable, but I think something like that might be helpful to start. And I'd like to see it reduced. If not, I think we're going to have a bad accident on our hands.
Matt, how do we assess speeds locally other than like state roads and whatnot? How does that? Is it state anyway?
All speed limits are set by the state.
Yeah.
By MDOT. So what we do is we ask for a speed study, a speed analysis,
Gotcha.
and they'll come out and they'll do the study. But this is an issue that just burns the committee that just spoke to you. Is the way they assess the speed is they determine how fast people are going, and they take the 85 percentile of that speed, and that's what they use for the speed limit. So it's kind of the reverse of what you would think.
So they're going to raise it to 40.
Yeah, we're gonna be faster.
I
Yeah.
have asked them to review Church Street because I know a lot of people go slower than the 35 because you're going to hit a 30 and then a 25 later on. Also, this won't help on the bicycle side and may not be all that great news for the residents there. But you're aware we plan on putting a sidewalk there eventually. Too. Yeah. Are you on my mailing list for
No.
that, Corey? We'll
I'd like
get
to
you
be.
on that. Yeah. Yeah. We had a donation from which we're funding a survey and actually engineering work for that sidewalk from Pleasant Street to Main Street. And they're in the process of completing that survey work now. And once we have that done and we have some cost figures, we'll try to get some grant money and some additional foundation money to build the sidewalk there. So that'll help a lot.
That's good news.
Yeah. And but you mentioned Main Street. It won't take too long, but we did have them come out and do the study of the speed limits. So they reduced the speed limit out to the bank, Bangor Savings satellite office to 30, and then 40 for a stretch. And then it was at 40, but they said it should be at 45. So it cuts both ways. So they actually increased the speed limit when we asked them to pull it down to 35. So I've asked them to do Church Street, to do the analysis of Church Street. As far as I know, they haven't been out, but I can ask them to do that again.
I appreciate that.
Keep after them, but hopefully it doesn't go the other way.
I hope not.
And if
If all else fails, we're putting Jimmy Campbell out there. He's gonna-
Yeah, so
He'll get slowed down.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
All right. Well, if you would drop me an email and I'll have you on my, I really message for that project.
All right. There's no other citizens' comments or correspondence. We'll move on. Yeah. Matt, we'll move on to town manager's items at this
Okay.
point. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah, I am. I'm ready to go.
And Doug and Max are both on our waterfront committee, so they may have some input into this as well. I'm sure they do. As you know, Max has been involved in the EDA grant and helping with me with the administration of that grant. So yesterday I sent out a draft document that we sent to Wright Pierce. Actually, it's been through several iterations in the last few weeks since we received input from EDA and FEMA on what they want to see in terms of a wall. I gave you a copy this evening of the same draft with the edits made by Jan Wigman at Wright Pierce. So you can see that he's in agreement with the scope, pretty much in agreement with the scope that we had laid out in the draft. I guess my question for the board is, what would you like to do in the way of approving an agreement that includes this scope? Would you want a special meeting to review, have more time to review this and send me your comments? And then we can finalize the agreement, or should I have Wright Pierce complete the agreement and email that to you so you can approve it as soon as you're comfortable with it? Or if you'd like, if you did review this yesterday or the day before, and you're comfortable with the scope as we've outlined it, then you can authorize me to go ahead and sign that agreement with Wright Pierce to get them moving on the project. And then I know Doug had some views about the wall itself. If I could, I'll just briefly describe that because that's a significant part of this. And I think we reached a significant milestone with our meeting with FEMA a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, on that topic. What EDA and FEMA have agreed to do is allow us to proceed with the other elements of the project without the wall, if the entire project comes in above budget. And that was a huge breakthrough, because from staff standpoint and the business standpoint, the bigger issue right now, 2021, is not the flood wall, it's the drainage in the parking lot and the condition of the parking lot. So that was like I say, a major shift and a major change. And then what they said was, if we design the wall at the same time we have all this design work done, and the bids come in too high to include the wall, we can go back and reapply for additional funds afterwards. And they really want us to build the wall to a level that allows us to take that area out of the floodplain. That's a high priority for EDA and for FEMA. Yeah. So, but they're willing to let us do that in phases if needed.
Okay.
And then there's been quite a bit of discussion going on years now about the wall and how high it would be, and what it would be composed of, what the structure would be comprised of. And EDA, FEMA want the wall to be well, at least 12.6 feet high, but the preference is 13.1 feet high elevation, not high off the ground, elevation, so that we address not only the flood waters, the hot rising tide, but also any storm action wave action and such. So that's the number that the consultants arrived at. Then the issue is, how do you want the wall to look? We've discussed a wall with a glass, a base concrete wall to 3 feet, and then a glass or a removable or a fold down portion of the wall going up to the 13.1 level or an additional 2.1 feet. And that's a subject in this first paragraph. And as we go down through the full agreement, we've asked Wright Pierce to come up with some options on that, you know. And I know there's concern, and I can understand this totally. There's concern that if we put a transparent wall, it's going to be a maintenance headache. It's going to look like an eyesore. But I guess from the staff's perspective, we ought to at least research it and see what other have done in that regard. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would lean heavily towards some type of structure where you fold down the top 2 feet, or you put, you know, some type of slats in there to build it up when you know there's going to be a flood.
Yeah.
But I think businesses and citizens, and you'll get the feedback from them directly when we have a meeting on this, but I don't think anyone wants a 5.1 foot solid wall blocking the harbor all the time for the flood that's seldom going to occur.
So Matt, you drafted this, right?
Yeah, Bob, George, and I drafted it. Yeah,
And so they edited it.
they edited it.
Right.
You see there, this is the second.
Right.
I think we
So that's sort of a
massaged it, yeah.
tacit agreement on their part that they agree with us.
Yes, yes.
Maybe it'd be helpful to get a signature line on your side and or our side, the city side and their side, to say, all right, we'll agree to this.
This is acceptable to us with their edits.
This, but I mean,
The document that you see here.
acceptable to whom?
It's acceptable to the consultant to put in their contract for the second phase,
Okay,
and then it's acceptable to George, Bob, and I.
okay.
And I think the concern that the waterfront committee has still is this, having this option that we'll continue to review for the transparent wall.
Sure.
But otherwise, my sense is that there's pretty strong agreement on this scope.
Yeah, so
Does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be part of a contract.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Now, the options of the wall, though, they're gonna bring us some ideas that we will
Right,
talk about further,
exactly.
and cost.
And what I
Yes.
suggest later on the agenda is that we have a community meeting on September 28th. And that'll give the consultants a chance to refine some of these ideas that they had in the 30% design, such as the storage for the stormwater, and also come up with some really clear ideas on what the flood wall could look like, what the options are. And we'll get the community's input
Yeah,
at that point.
definitely.
It'd be nice to have some choices, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we've seen everything from the cement wall to the brick with
Yeah.
with the glass top.
And that's in here, the base being a brick, but what we didn't include was a choice or an option where the wall would be a solid concrete 5-foot wall. So I just don't see the point in having them do that.
No,
Why
it's,
block our
it's-
harbor view?
it's gonna go over well.
Yeah, you want to have it, not everyone gets out to walk the park to look at the view. You want to have it so people in the parking lot can particularly park right up against the wall, will be able to see the harbor.
But it would be
That's our
nice to
thought.
have it designed so that in 2035, if they need to start coming out further, it's already had some of that thought ahead of time, so that they, it's in the works, so that they would have to do this, the next option.
Well, the way this would be designed, the way it's, that we're asking them to do the project, to design the project, is you would have your 3-foot wall, And then when we got the word that we're going to have a king tide and a storm, we'd send a crew down there, whether that be Public Works, fire, or both, your town manager, and they just either flip up the base so that it goes to the 5 feet or, however that works. Yeah.
So those
That's the
add-on
plan. Yeah. Yeah.
might be
It has-
expandable over time if need be.
We only have so much manpower here, so we've got to make it so it's not too heavy and yeah.
And one other question I have
Yeah.
is the 3-foot wall would pull some of the businesses out of the flood zone, but it wouldn't take all.
No, it wouldn't take any of them out of the flood zone. It has to be at least 12.6 to do that today. And then if you want to build in any cushion there, any extra freeboard, you've got to go to the 13.1. But the 3-foot wall won't qualify us for a conditional letter of map revision from FEMA.
So their insurances, they're still going to be in that flood zone.
Right.
I mean, that's what
It would still be in the flood zone unless we have, the 3-foot with the protection, the additional 2-foot protection. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't sit down or the businesses couldn't sit down with private insurers and say, this is what the town has done. Give me a break on your flood insurance rates. That's always a possibility. And Evan's been looking at, something we've looked at before, the community rating system, to see if there's any possibility for discounts through that program. But as we said before, the deal that's going to help the businesses the most is just taking care of that drainage problem.
Yeah.
It won't help them on their insurance rates, but it will help them with the real impact on their business every time we have a king tide.
So we have a general agreement between the waterfront committee and everybody right now that this is workable.
Yeah, I think the only, and
Yeah.
Max and Doug
Forward with it.
can comment, but I think the only area where there's that apprehension is this idea that it could be a transparent wall on the top. But I think we ought to at least have Wright Pierce do a little more research on that. So, is that a fair statement?
Yes, my only.
Let's separate up. We'll get the mic for you. You can introduce yourself for our audience at home.
I'm Doug Morton. I live on Rand Lane. My only question is, does this entire project have to be completed to the maximum level, or can we postpone some of this 10 or 15 years down the line? And if so, where's the funding come for either case?
The project needs to be completed, and this assumes we get an extension. Initially, it had to be completed within 2 years, but they'll go up to 5 years for these EDA monies. If we were to get approval for the project without the wall and then go out and ask for additional funding for the wall, I think that would start the 5-year period again. But whatever gets funded with this first $3 million grant and our $1.4 million in local match, that will need to be done within 5 years of the grant being awarded, which was April of last year, I think.
When the award has to be done,
When the project needs to be done.
I think April 17th of next year.
For,
You want me to be up?
well, for the 2 years.
Come right up.
Well, for the 2 year, but we can get an extension up to 5 years.
You can just, give us your name and the mic there.
Hi, I'm Max Johnstone, Midcoast Economic Development District. Yeah, because we just had to do the quarterly report. I think April 17th of next year
Yeah.
is when it's supposed to be done.
Right.
Which is going to be an issue because it's not like we can do construction during the
Yeah,
winter.
there's no way we'll get it done then. And what we had done is I put in an amendment, a request for an amendment to extend that like 500 additional days. And what the response from EDA was, we will, without a doubt, give you an extension, but don't ask us for the extension until you know what the new date is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's just an advisable thing I'd say of you should wait until at least you get the bids back so you can have like a common
Right.
date.
That's right.
Because if they all say like, if whoever the construction bids are going to be, they say July is when they're expecting to be done, then give yourself like a 3-month window
Yeah.
just in case.
Sure.
Because we also have to close out all the forms and all that and other technical
yeah.
things. And you never know, we might have another COVID.
Think positive, Max. Think positive.
So you mentioned this a couple of times, but this gentleman wasn't here, but isn't it also true that if the bids for the whole project, including the 5-foot wall, exceed the amount of monies, and we can proceed with the rest of the budget, the rest of the project without the wall, and then get approval for the wall?
Yeah, ask for money for the wall after. And
Which effectively puts the wall development,
Yeah.
out for us.
yeah, I'll pass them.
I meant to ask on that one, actually. Do you mean, because we got like 70, the town got about 75% from EDA. Does that mean you get another 5% or is that applying for a new E EDA?
We didn't get into that. Well, we didn't get into too much detail on applying for the funds, but we have to reapply for funds, but I'm not sure what the local match would be, whether that would, right now we're getting reimbursed 74.31%. The town picks up the difference with the donations that we have. Whether they would use the same formula if we reapplied and were awarded another grant, I don't know.
If we do a new EDA, it's very likely it would be a 50-50 match.
Okay, all right.
If it's like brand new EDA application, although there might be some,
I think there's some flexibility there, but
there's probably going to be flexibility, especially with the ARPA funding that the federal government's now getting out there, and which you're talking about the town match, but there's like EDA matches at this point. And then there's probably something that's going to come from the infrastructure bill. So who knows? It might be 50%. It might be another 74% for all I know.
right.
I'll let you all know when I get that information.
We'll know when you know.
To answer, Tom's question more directly. So not only would we delay the construction of the wall, we'd also delay the improvements to the park, because it doesn't make any sense to tear up the park to put the wall in and then have to, do it twice. So those two components would be delayed.
I would just like to make sure that we get all the paperwork done so that we know exactly where we stand from the taxpayer point of view and not leave anything hanging out there.
Right. Yeah. And right now it's a tight budget, but we're not asking for any additional taxpayer dollars at this point. We may have to when we get to the next phase, if the wall can't be included in the first larger project. So at this point, though, no additional property tax dollars are being requested.
So is there a planned deadline to get the bids out at this point?
Yes, January 13th.
So I mean, I looked this over the other day.
Yeah.
I just looked at the changes. I'm good with
Okay.
getting moving.
So did you want to have a motion authorizing me to sign a contract with Wright Pierce and SLR to move forward on the second phase of their design work? And I need to get EDA's approval too, but I've included them in the loop on all this so far.
So what,
We're comfortable there.
This is-
Good with what we have right now.
Right.
but I guess the only question I have going forward, if they don't meet the time period of January 13th, out to bid, what recourse do we have?
Yeah. We should put some penalties in the contract.
Mhm. I know we've had delays and
Yeah.
there's always some excuse, so
Yeah.
I can make an excuse too.
Okay, so you make a
Do you
motion
want to
that
amend the motion or could we?
Well, I mean,
Put that
if we
in
can
there.
allow Matt to kind of come up,
Yeah.
I think they've know where we're coming from.
Mhm.
Trying to hold their feet to the fire
how
and get
much a
them moving.
day?
How much a day, minute, I don't care.
How
Just,
much is it?
We need something to
Time
keep them,
sensitive.
something to keep them moving, because we might get ourselves in a pinch too if they can't keep on schedule.
Right, because it's important to get the bids out early.
Yes.
Right,
yeah.
Especially on this big of a project.
Are you making a motion, John?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I make something up here. That we authorize Matt to proceed with this agreement with a penalty fee and structure here to keep him on task.
I'll second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Carries, yeah. Move on with that.
Yeah, I can go through the rest of these items, I think fairly quickly.
Yeah.
The theater has asked, they had originally asked to close Theater Street for 3 days in July or August, and I told them no. But they can, I see I spelled November wrong, but they can do the work on their roof in November. So what I'm asking the board to do is approve the closure of Theater Street, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then as a backup date, 8th, 9th, and 10th, for them to do some major work on their roof. They need to, we wanted them to stay on the sidewalk and the parking spaces, but they said for safety reasons, they need to take the whole road.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's wise.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we allow them to proceed with those dates.
I'll second it.
March 2nd. Any discussion?
I just wonder what days of the week are those?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
All those in favor?
Okay, and then we've set the public hearing for August 18th, so 2 weeks from tonight, and this is the public hearing to get citizen input on how to spend the American Rescue Fund dollars. So just that's an FYI. I'll send out a newsletter on that with that date, but the public notice was in today's paper and be a next week's paper, and then I can give Evan more detail on that as well, if he has some column space, so.
Oh, this.
Evan, yeah. This Evan,
The
yeah.
lead reporter,
The lead reporter.
the lead reporter here.
I talked to Andrew Fetterman today, and he offered to allow us to use the Lincoln Theater for the community meeting on the waterfront.
Oh, good.
So the date that we talked about tentatively was September 28th. I think that's good. I know we had talked about a late August date, but then it occurred to me that the people we really want to attend, in addition to the citizens, are the businesses. And they're not going to be able to make, most of them
No.
won't be able to make an August timeline because, they're doing a booming business downtown. So this would be maybe after the shoulder season, but not quite into the Pumpkin Fest season. So my recommendation is September 28th. We do it, I think 5 o'clock works best for the businesses. It's before they go home. But after they close their businesses. Well, does that sound right to you, Daryl?
What day is that on?
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday. I think for the most part, yeah, early evening.
Okay.
Get everybody, once we get it advertised well and,
Oh, we will.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so if that's okay, we'll proceed with the 28th of September, and I'll confirm that with Andrew tonight.
Sound like a good date, to everybody?
And sorry, I made these additions and I didn't do the spell check on the mask requirement for town hall employees. There's a late and visitors. This is a late breaking item here. I got a call from another town manager who alerted me to the fact that Lincoln County has gone over the threshold for a substantial transmission area. So it was just slightly on Monday. I think it may be more so yesterday. I don't know what it is today. But I see that's like the Y has reinstituted their mask requirement. This is different than what I thought earlier today, but I talked to the staff out here. What we'd like to do is require masks for anyone visiting town hall, for town business, as well as for employees and anyone who has meetings here, starting on Monday until we, receive the recommendation from the CDC to back down to the moderate level again. The governor's office hasn't given us a mandate on this, but they've said they recommend that we follow the CDC guidelines, which are basically if you're in a substantial transmission area, that you should have mask wearing indoors. And there's also provisions regarding schools, but that's, not our bailiwick.
So this is changing like daily.
It is changing daily.
And if
It
this
is.
goes back down tomorrow,
Then we'll
and
wait a
it'll
few.
go the next day and
Yeah,
it'll keep
yeah.
coming up and down. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And as I said in my email message, it's, we've got a relatively small population in Lincoln County. So just a few cases will bump us up over that next threshold. If you want us to wait a few days and
Do you remember the
see what
numbers?
happens.
Do you remember the absolute numbers?
I don't recall the absolute numbers. No,
The state.
it's on that link.
Yeah, the state number was up to 123.
I think we only had 3 in Lincoln County today.
Whereas
23.
We also
Three.
have a
Oh, 3.
relatively high vaccination rate in
Yeah,
town too.
This community has one of the
95
highest. Yeah.
95 plus or something
Yeah.
percentage.
So, yeah, I'm at this, personally, I'm at this point of not requiring masks.
Okay.
Making it an option for folks
Yeah,
still.
I agree.
So hold off. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll just monitor it on a daily basis. All right.
But certainly, obviously, in town, the employees, if they want to wear a mask.
Definitely.
yeah.
Employees,
It's
a lot of citizens are
Choice.
wearing masks. I see a lot of folks visiting from away that are wearing masks now too.
Yeah, we had a few in here tonight.
All right, we'll
We'll leave it under personal
good.
choice still.
hold off on that one. And then I did add one more item. Paul Bryant has indicated that he is going to resign. He's been the harbor master work since 1971. I'm meeting with the interim town manager in Newcastle and the head of the harbor committee to discuss what to do. But I believe, from what I've heard secondhand, he's willing to stay through this season in that capacity.
Yeah, he's been there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Have we ever had another one?
It'll be a tough
Current-
position.
That's right.
Yeah, to fill.
That's right.
So-
Yeah. It's like trying to get a fence viewer.
Is it appropriate for the town to give them some kind of recognition?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, we could do that jointly with
It's the
Newcastle.
right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely should.
And unless you have any questions on any of those items, that's all I have.
Well, I would just say on the harbor master, that's a pretty critical role because he salvages a lot of problems on the water. So we have to work together with him to find somebody that's going to take that over. You can't
Right.
just let it drop.
I think there's probably some pretty good candidates within the aquaculture
Oh, that's possible. Yeah.
and the oyster
Yeah.
community. And
Get the
maybe
feelers
we
out
can
and-
talk to Nat. He can be the next generation.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
That'd be nice. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Paul says he's been asking around, but hasn't found anybody yet. So we'll see.
All right, well, get the word out, we'll start pushing. Right, anything else under, are we good, Matt, on your end? Yeah. Okay, any questions, anything before we move on? No? Good. All right, let's move on to official action items.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I didn't send out a written description of this, so I
Yeah,
can explain
let's
what's
see.
going on there. Evan, this Evan.
This
Not the
one.
lead
Kowski,
reporter, the other, the intern.
has been doing quite a bit of work on the broadband and trying to get us in the queue for some either main Connect money, Connect Me money, or some other funding. And an important step in that is, first of all, the committee. And as he'll explain in more detail, we're going to piggyback on what Newcastle's been doing there. And then another step would be to get a plan in place. And that's what this grant would be for. So I'll let you take it from there. I won't steal all your thunder.
All right, sounds good. All right.
Give us your name. there.
Evan
Tell us-
Gudkowski, your very own summer intern. Let's see, if you recall, when I first talked about broadband, that the planning aspect of it to get a consultant was probably going to be somewhere between 10 and 15,000. Well, today I'm coming to hopefully ask you guys for 2,000. So myself and David Levesque, with a lot of direction from Krista Thorpe from the Island Institute, submitted an application on Monday night for a planning grant from the Maine Community Foundation. They're going to put together about 4,900. Newcastle's going to put down 1,500, with hopefully the 1,500 from Damariscotta. And that's going to go to LCI, who's give it to a consultant in Gardner. I think it's Casco Bay Advisors. And they're going to do the full build out plan for Newcastle and Damariscotta to figure out what it's going to take to get everybody % coverage for fiber. And with Krista's direction, she's advocating that Newcastle use a majority of their planning money that they've received from a planning grant previously to keep me on as like a community organizer person, because the end goal is to also rope in Noblesboro, they don't know this yet, and South Bristol into a 4-town foul sweep, try and put, because that's what's going to make it look good on paper, is you got 4 towns, everybody's in. Let's come together and get as much money as we can all at once. And right now, getting ready and being ready on the pike once all the cash hits is going to be the big deal. So I'm hoping that you guys would want to approve about 2,000, 1,500 going toward Damariscotta share of the plan, and 500 going toward any organizing or mailers that we have to do for surveys and these type of things.
So question, are you going to wait until you try to solicit the other towns?
The other towns, we're going to get the plan. They're hopefully going to be getting planning money from the Island Institute for their planning portion.
Have you had discussions with them?
Haven't even got to it. I'm not on the bill for that yet. And I can't work for free. I got stuff to do.
Well, I'm just asking, if we're putting in money on the basis that all these towns are going to be
No,
part of
the
it.
money going down would only be toward the plan for Damariscotta's half of the Newcastle Damariscotta build out plan.
Okay.
Separately, I would assist with a little bit of seed money from Newcastle Damariscotta that would also actually, anything that Damariscotta would be putting in, I would be putting back into Damariscotta. The Island Institute would be covering, and Lincoln County Regional Planning would probably throw in a little bit too, for me to start going after Noblesboro and South Bristol and get everybody organized under an umbrella.
And the hope would be you could pull them in.
Right.
And
They're all under the Tidewater thing. So that's just.
So just
it's never-
clarifies, it's actually we're talking 1,500, which would be our share of the local match, right?
Right.
And then another 500 for these other items that Evan's talking about. So Newcastle is already committed, and they've already submitted the grant application,
we
right?
submitted
We're
it
just
Monday night.
piggybacking on what they've already
So I
done.
put us down for pending. So nobody's committed from this side
Okay.
till tonight. So.
Well, I think I'm committed, so.
Yes.
I think it's a good
Yeah, so
thing.
we should move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a, so the formal action would be to allow a transfer from the contingency account for $2,000 for the grant local match and for additional administrative follow-up.
I will make that motion.
Thank you very much.
Second, Tom second. All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Now you know what you can work on tomorrow.
Good
All right.
work.
Let's go.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Evan. All right. Matt, do we have a cemetery deed?
Yeah, we have a transfer.
Is that the one in front of me here? Is this a?
Yeah. Oh, that's why I left it.
Is this,
So you
okay,
decide.
okay,
Yep, that's the one.
all right, so this is, what do we have here? Malcolm and Carol Ray,
Mhm.
okay. What do you need for motion on this one, just to approve,
Transfer.
transfer from, all right, just help me with the wording on it.
Oh, a transfer of a cemetery deed. I think it was from the race to.
Yeah, to, from the race, we do it from the race
Yeah.
to, yeah, to Damariscotta.
No,
to-
No, what do you,
party.
It should be. Boldface.
just remember seeing that.
here it is.
So it's going to be from, it's currently owned by Malcolm and Carol Ray, and it would be transferred to Nancy Callahan.
I'll make that a motion.
There's lots of-
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? There's lots of names in there.
Okay, there is.
Yeah.
There are. Thank you.
Okay.
And yeah, please sign that.
Yeah, we'll sign that one.
It's
Send her
a
around.
formal deed transfer, a deed transfer.
Send that down your way, guys. We're working that through.
And then I had a couple other documents for you to sign. These relate to the town meeting that was held back in June where 2 ordinances were approved, and I'm asking you to sign those. So Tom wouldn't sign the other 4 if you could sign those.
Is that all you have for official action items, Matt, at this point?
No.
Yeah. That away, Josh. You and Tom. All right. Before we move on to selectmen's discussion, we'd like to thank LCTV for setting everything up and getting everything going tonight. Do we want to discuss the payment process? Without a contingency for them to move forward? Or what do we have for options?
So basically it's contingency. We do have a fairly tight budget. So at this point, at least in the year, the only flexibility is with the contingency. So I talked to today about this, and you know, we had from the start estimated 40 meetings at $100 a meeting. That's $4,000, and we wouldn't have to have the planning board meetings covered right away. We could see how it works with the Board of Selectmen meetings, and then add the planning board meetings later. So, we'd be looking at well, we're already 2 months, almost 2 months into the year, or well, we started tonight, so it would be a month into the year. So that would take out 2 of those 24, so 22 meetings, $2,200.
So we could allocate 2,200,
Right.
and if we need to.
Right.
You know, and I disagree, because the reason I'd like to see us stay with the 40 is the whole idea is to educate the public on these meetings. I do think it's very important that we have the Parks Committee that's going to be meeting, these public hearings that we have. I think it's very important that we get the word out there and use these either COVID funds or the franchise fees that come in, because we collect 19, 20,000, whatever that number is. I think it's important that we reach out to the taxpayers and keep them fully informed of all these meetings we have. So if we budget 40 meetings, let's pick and choose what the best situation would be.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So what's your motion?
We don't have the 4,000 budgeted, so we'd have to take it from contingency. So,
Yeah.
and the 24,000 that we budgeted for the franchise fee goes into the general fund, and we're spending what, about 11,700 of that is going to LCTV. So,
And
but
the other-
we can't reallocate those dollars.
Right, because you're
No.
using that as a revenue to
Yeah,
balance
we've
your
used-
budget.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we can't
Right,
do
this year.
that.
So, and the only way we could add additional revenues to the budget would be to go back to a special town meeting. So that's why I say the only option at this point
There's
is
contingency.
to tap contingency. So we could do it for 4,000. It's early in the year to be tapping the contingency, 22,000.
So here's what I would like to try, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say it as a citizen. My mother is on the board for LCTV, so I'm gonna kind of stay out of it, but as a citizen, if we only have X amount of dollars to work with, I'd do a 6-month trial for both the planning board and the selectmen's meetings, just to see how it goes and see if we need to tweak it as we go. And then maybe we can find some funds as it goes and not commit all that money at this moment towards that. That would be my suggestion as a citizen.
Sounds like a plan.
Where are we at in the contingency?
Well, we have 22,000 in the contingency account. We use 2,000 of that. Well, roughly 2,000 on the equipment and then another 2,000 on the approval tonight. So we've dinged it 4,000 so far.
So we're down to 18.
Right, yeah.
So it'd be another two, based on what you're saying, right?
So we do another 2 at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Overlays 80, overlays 80.
fair compromise and hopes that,
Yeah, that's prudent to get 6 months.
Towards the end of it.
Make a
Yeah.
decision.
But we also have a $25,000 emergency.
Yeah, we have an emergency fund.
We tried to not use that unless
Well,
we
we
have to.
like to hold off until as late as we can if we
Right.
tap that at
So
all.
I think if you, just my personal citizen opinion, if you just tried a 6-month trial, see how it goes. See if there's other funding sources that might pop up along the way, and we'll evaluate it after 5 months, and maybe we have a different funding source that might come up.
And you do have those COVID funds.
The COVID? No, we don't. I mean, there's no,
But you can't use it for that.
there's nothing in the American Rescue Plan and the state and local allocation that allows us to tap those funds. I know, I think Larry may have mentioned that's Newcastle was going to try that, but you go down those 5 categories, it just doesn't fit.
Nope.
So Josh, you gonna make a motion?
I can't.
You can't.
he's gonna
I
abstain.
gotta sit out this
from,
one.
Family
I'll make a
member.
motion that we allocate for 6 months, the funding of LCTV conducting these meetings and for the planning board for the next 6 months.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I'm gonna
One
abstain,
abstain.
just to be on the legit.
We'll,
I will say, though, I think it's very important that we have some very important meetings that will be coming up
Oh,
to
yeah.
do with that back parking lot.
Mhm.
That we should be reaching out to them if needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
So we can have-
September
yeah.
28th on your
Yeah.
calendar. Yeah.
so we can work within that budget for right now and then find some money moving forward.
Yeah.
Keep you guys on the payroll if
Yeah.
we keep filming, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a good
Mark says
service.
it's important to get this out here and
Yeah.
with the waterfront improvements and whatnot, we can utilize it, so.
Yeah. Personally, I can't see us not renewing it in 6 months.
Right.
Because I'm very impressed what they have done so far.
Yeah.
So,
We'll buy us some time to
Figure
find
something
some
out.
money and do
Find
what
some
we need
money.
to, so we'll be proactive on that.
Good.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we'll start,
Take a motion.
yeah. So let
We
me,
have to vote on it.
oh, we didn't make a motion, did we?
There you
Yeah,
go.
we did.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did, didn't we? Yeah.
Tom
Yeah, we
did,
voted on it.
yeah.
Yeah, Tom made a
And we
motion. voted
voted.
On the moving two and yeah. So we're good there. We'll select Miss discussion items. We'll start that ending with Tom.
Well, I had a citizen mention that they were concerned about the safety at the intersection of Bristol Road going south where it intersects with School Street, looking to the right to turn left. They're
Hmm.
saying there's a lot of brush there that sort of makes you come out too far or forces cars to go around them to get by, and that creates another safety issue on the other side. So I don't know whether or not that's private property or whether or not the right of way that the town has is sufficient for some limb cutting or whatever.
That is a state.
State.
DOT
It's the
right away.
state DOT right of way, and they are supposed to maintain it, but when I get calls like that, I have our public works crew go out and cut it. So I got that call on Thursday afternoon, and I sent out Steve on Friday. So it's been mowed. And I talked to the citizen today, and the citizen that contacted me at least, and he was very pleased.
Yeah, there's
What
two-
about the branches?
I didn't do anything with the branches.
Yeah, you gotta be kind of careful.
Well, we should make a phone call to the
The
state
state.
and get it taken care of.
Mhm.
Oh, we send in the work order, but it takes a few days. And when you have
Oh,
a
yeah.
complaint like that,
Get,
I just as soon have,
Yeah, we had-
us take care of it.
two accidents within a week. One was Tuesday
Yeah.
night.
It's
One
a
was
bad,
Sunday.
it's a bad intersection.
Yeah.
But you gotta stop too.
And you know what, at that intersection, the state allowed us, because it's a school street is state aid, and of course, Bristol is a state highway. But they allowed us to repaint that so it comes to a T
Yeah.
rather than an angle.
Yeah.
But I think I've asked Dave Allen to look at that and see if there's anything else that can be done. Because it is
Yeah, you don't get a long shot there. I've almost had a couple accidents. myself.
it's a tough one.
Dark car doesn't have a lot of chrome on it.
Yeah.
You can't see it coming.
I do agree, it is better. You do have to square up and pull up.
Yeah.
I agree with Tom. You have to actually pull your nose out into the road to see by the bushes.
Yeah.
Maybe that fix.
That's it for me.
Lou?
I have nothing other than, again, thank you to LTV.
I'll piggyback on that. I think it's great, and I think it's gonna do nothing but improve. I think it's so important that we get as many options that we have out available to let the taxpayer know what's going on in this town. That's all I have.
Josh?
Let's get to the workshop. That's all I have to say.
I don't have anything to add that hasn't already been said, I think. So, yeah, we can move on. Yeah.
I make a motion, we adjourn the selectmen's meeting.
Second,
Go into workshop.
yeah, yep. Go into workshop.
Let's keep right going then.
Discussion, all in favor? All right.
You want to record the workshop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Larry, you're not going home yet.
Yep. Put you to work, Larry. Yeah. And Jeff.
Probably Jeff will get up and say, oh, Larry, you got me into this. I'm out of here.
There, so I'm facing you all.
You're getting the hot seat?
Yeah. First item we had was the rules in action plan. Sent that out a couple weeks ago.
It's on.
I know, but you're. Oh, okay, okay. All right. All right, can you testing? Okay.
Give me that. So everybody's got the goals and had a chance to look them over and take a peek.
Do you want to go through them one by one, or do you want to just do it page by page, or? And you know, these are just my thoughts, so if you've got any
Sure.
different ideas, additions, whatever.
Bounce
Yeah.
through them and then we can stop where anybody has any comments or concerns or additions. But if that's good with the rest of the board, we'll just go through them and, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the licensing, well, just go, let me go through each one.
Yeah, just
Okay,
go through
licensing
them.
ordinance, that's something we've had for a while. Well, it's not been a top priority, so it's gotten pushed to the back burner, but we should wrap that up. I think that the only, there was a big question there. We did have it in draft form, And the question is whether we wanted licenses for all businesses. And that's something, we wouldn't discuss now, but it'd be maybe the topic of a future workshop. Right now, businesses come into town and we don't know they're there. So it's kind of hard to first of all, communicate with them to make sure they're complying with the code enforcement requirements, and make sure they're on the tax rolls, especially personal property tax. So
How typical is that? And do we know anything about Newcastle?
I don't know if Newcastle does, but we have examples from other towns. Yeah, that they do that. And we've got quite a bit
Common
of
practice.
information on it. It's common practice, yeah.
John, if it's a change of use, John.
What's the issue for us then?
Whether to have a license, a business license.
I
don't
understand,
think-
but if it's
Stanley
common
probably has
practice
to
of the
look
other
at it
towns,
first.
what are the pros and cons that have been discussed?
We can discuss that. I think, yeah, I don't know if you want to discuss it now, but off the top of my head, I listed the pros. It would be nice to have a record
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
and a communication link. The downside is, I
Administration.
think a lot of businesses might feel like it's another intrusion onto them by their local government.
Mhm.
Yeah, the others, like, I was going to suggest that on the con side of it, you have to be able to support those businesses too, in a way. So if you're licensing them and they come and they need some guidance and whatnot, we need to be prepared for that as well. If we simply take the money without doing anything, and it'll be
Well,
Yeah.
and then the fee structure is a totally different issue. Now, whether you don't even necessarily have to charge
Yeah,
a
you don't need to
fee, or
charge,
you could
yeah.
charge a nominal fee like $5 a year or whatever.
filing fee or something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, all I'm thinking is if nearby towns like Newcastle are doing it, maybe we could get some experience talking to them as to the pros and cons. And
We've got quite a bit of data
yeah,
that we've gotten from other towns. I don't know that Newcastle was one of them, but towns that have lots of commercial activity, we've polled them and we have spreadsheets that show what they did, or at least when we first started looking at this 2 years. We probably need to update those sheets.
Yeah, I think we heard that we have to move on to the assessors hiring.
Yeah, assessors hiring,
Yeah, so
hiring,
we're
and
looking
then the town manager.
Yeah.
I think you need to start that fairly soon after the first of the year. I had said, working with an outside consultant such as MMA, but
Yeah.
I've since found that Don Garish still does this with the, so that's how you got me.
That's how we found,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
When's
You
your-
can make a decision on whether or not that was a good.
Remind us, when's the date?
June 30th.
June 30th.
would be my last date.
So we
Date.
should, we really should move now and get
Yeah.
stuff moving on that.
Yeah,
I don't think
I-
we should wait.
And I did talk to Matt about Don Garish with Eaton Peabody.
Yeah.
He's very familiar. He filled in as interim before Matt got here.
Okay.
When we went through that process before, it was pretty easy for the board
Okay.
because Don and Dick had weeded out everything, went through it. They knew what we were looking for. And obviously they brought us a good candidate to
Yeah,
go with.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we already have a familiarization with them. They already know what we want.
Yeah.
And I think if we do with somebody else, we'll be
Yeah.
kind of starting all over again.
Okay.
We should,
I'll
we should reach out to them
Yeah.
as soon as
call Don
possible.
and get some prices and
Mhm.
some options for you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Yeah. I'm not trying to get rid of you, but we,
No, I understand. Hopefully,
So-
I don't want to get rid of
so
them.
Matt, how much time,
I'm leaving.
how much time do you think you need as overlap with the new candidate? To work with them, to familiarize them and whatever.
Oh, to work with a new person? Don spent an afternoon with me.
Yeah, his motto was, well,
You're not giving us any
I'm not
extra
gonna tell
time.
them anything. They figure it out. He
I
said.
came in on my own time to
Yeah.
meet with him that afternoon.
Well, yeah, but you have a lot more.
Oh, I
experience.
know. Kidding aside, I think 3 weeks to a month. Yeah.
Okay, well, that
3 to
should
4
be,
weeks.
my point there is that we need to put that in as a buffer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
That's why I
a
wanna
lot of
get started
detail.
on it now and get it
Yeah.
moving and get some.
And I'll be working toward getting the files organized and, both the electronic files and the hard copy files. So and make it as easy as
And
possible.
this transition will be much easier because, you'll be working with them.
Yeah.
Before it was, Dawn was here and we had it as the interim for a while, so.
And we got Jim available if needed.
Assessor?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm talking about,
Oh, the town
Mouse.
manager,
Yeah,
yeah. The assessor we're working on right now.
yeah,
Because, Jim's helping us with the tax commitment, but he's gone after that.
but, as far as assessing, I'm not to change the subject too
Yeah, I'm
much,
sorry, I changed it.
but I'm gonna go to that. We've got a lot of non-taxable entities here with large tracts of land that aren't functioning in any capacity other than sitting there. Technically, if they're not using it for their mission, then it should be taxed at an appropriate rate. And if they've got large areas, and I'm open to open space rates with a reduced rate. But if there's no plan in place for what these organizations have, and if they're not utilizing those spaces or pathways or within their conservation mission, then they should be taxed.
I'll add a goal if you'd like on that, just saying we've got to have someone, whether it be this new assessor or whoever, looking at the criteria for tax exemption. It's a variety, it's a percentage scale, but they need to have met that.
Yeah, and I mean,
that
if
requirement. Yeah.
if you look at some of the areas that are protected, yeah, it's great that we have conservation and we've had all these areas, but our commercial growth is, or any type of growth is gone now. So our tax base is going away, but everybody that pays taxes in the town is supplementing for all these services. So when, how much is enough, there's certain organizations around here that just seems to be going, keep taking, especially when we had one area that was designated in our comprehensive plan as a industrial commercial growth area, and that's gone now, so.
Yeah, it's a lot of tax base. Oof.
Not to digress further, but I noticed going through the tax rolls that there are a couple of major outstanding couple of years tax payments. What's the process of going after those?
Well, on the property tax, we do liens, and then the process for handling delinquent taxes is clearly outlined by state statute. So you go through well, first we charge them the interest for being late, then we go through a lien process, and then we have to foreclose on them.
Okay, all right.
We do that as the tax assessors.
Yeah, well, I would think 2 years, no payments.
I think you could go as long as 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm all set there. I ranted on that.
It's good.
Yeah, no, that's a good addition, Josh. So we'll look into that. We can get somebody to look into
Yeah,
it.
I'll add that.
Yeah,
And
so
you
just
can
keep an
look at
eye
the
and see
wording.
what they're
Yeah.
being used for, and it's, as long as they meet the criteria we have to, but if they're not, then. Yeah, all right. All right, yeah, we'll just keep going along that.
Okay, some of these are just, we've been doing them every year since I've been here. The 5-year plan, we'll update that.
Okay, you want me to go on that one?
Do you have?
Technology plan.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Matt about this. Coming up with a plan for the select board and the planning board, getting Chromebooks that are issued from the town to those members. So we're not personally using our own and buying our own. Because technically we're operating on the town's behalf, and the town should supply if we're gonna be doing all these Zoom meetings and You know, if we all on Google or we can do our docs, and it should be a town issued device.
And we could go paperless for
Mhm.
board meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just something to look into. Start planning
So
on,
look at equipment prices and
you know, if we do select board one year and then we do the planning board the next, and just trying to stay ahead of the curve here, because it's not really fair to us if we've been using our laptops or a company issued laptop for all our Zoom meetings that we had this previous year. So.
Well, and the other thing is too, is the freedom of access of information at any
Yeah.
time.
So, yeah, but I mean, a Google account is pretty easy to get to, but I mean, just going through personal computers and
Sure.
everything is kind of a pain in the ass.
I gotta look at, long-term use, long-term sustainability.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then, well, I'm further down again, Matt, so you can keep going.
Okay.
You got one more to go.
Yeah.
We talked about
Phase two.
phase two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we update the annual multi-year paving and maintenance schedules for Public Works. I don't know if the Public Works Committee has comments on
Yeah,
that.
and I guess when we have a next Public Works meeting, I've got it written down that we come up with a 10-year plan. Because we always used to have something similar to that, Mark, years ago. And I'm going to ask that we try to get some estimates just to meet with a few local or any paving contractor about milling, Belvedere in Egypt, just to give an estimate on what we need to budget for to do these projects. So we can, within our next fiscal cycle for our next budget, that maybe we can, our debt service is going to be paid off, correct, Matt?
This October.
This October.
Once.
So if we have, that was what, 120 to 160,000 was our debt service
It was
payments?
about 120,000 now. We'll still have a $10,000 payment on the street lights, but yeah, it's minimal.
So if we
Yeah.
can plan now and get things lined up this fall, maybe we can do a bid in the spring with a potential bond, which the 120,000 to pay the bond should be no increase to the budget.
Okay.
You want to bid on it in February,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And get it out there. The other thing is,
That's what I mentioned about.
the other thing I'd add with that is the main local roads, when they put on programs to make your roads last, they use a 7-year cycle.
Mhm.
And what they'll do is you clean your road, you shim your road, you tack it, you shim your road, and then you put 1.5 inches on top of that. And if you go out and look at Back Meadow Road from Business Route 1 to the Noblesboro line, that's exactly what got done. And then as soon as you hit the neighboring town, that was done at the same time. And you can see the difference in the road on which one held up longer. You spend more money per mile in the beginning, but your upfront cost is less than.
Yeah. So.
You know, I know this is probably off the wall, but you know, we heard about this biking thing, and I happen to think biking, like what they did in Camden or Rockport, is really helpful to tourism, if nothing else. And you know, it seems to me somewhere along the line, we have to think long-term about where that could come into play. And it looked like there were a couple of arteries that got most of the interest, Main Street, Church Street, and then out to Biscay. And, you know, as things happen along these paths, we ought to keep in mind the possibility of creating a bike lane or something like that. And maybe, I don't know if you can work with the state at all. It might be helpful to find out what these other towns did and where they got the funding, but there's probably a lot of private funding, but I don't know. But, you know, you are restricted in downtown, obviously, because there's not enough width.
Yeah.
But if you can get into downtown, you know, and then walk the bike, or whatever, from some of these main arteries, I think it'd be a big improvement. I think it'd be well received.
Well, I'll add on to that because I was at a meeting years ago when the town of Bristol, the state, the DOT came in and we had a joint meeting. And what their issue was about the white line along the edge and bicycles riding. And the town of Bristol spoke up and says, well, you haven't even got enough pavement to put a white line. So they ended up getting that paved shoulder for the rest of the way down through there.
Yeah.
And Damariscotta's got some tight spots too, so it's difficult.
I didn't know the history there. I just thought that when they did 129 and 130, they had their state right of way already, and it's always been that way. So okay.
Not all the time. They didn't do all the shoulders every time.
No, Bobby Fawcett is the one who brought it up during that meeting. And
Probably they were afraid of them.
then what they did is they went out and did it, but
Yeah.
Damariscotta has a tight area,
Yeah.
but they still have, the state still has the same right of way. It would be just infringing on, it seems like it's infringing on people's property. Trees would come down. You know, it's tough.
Well, you
On
don't
Bristol-
know if you don't know, if you don't ask.
Well,
the
on Bristol
people whether
Road,
they'd be in
we do have
favor
the
of it,
right
you
of
know.
way. We've got 2 to 3 feet. It's
Right.
not huge,
Yeah,
but we do
right.
have the right of way for a shoulder. We found that out when they put the recycled material down.
Well, going forward with the long-term plan, with the collaboration now, moving ahead as much as they have, there's, like I said earlier, they have some lobbying now, if you have other people involved and, next time we have an issue with Bristol Road and the state doesn't want to do it, well, you have another entity that come in and say, hey, we want to push for this. So, more voices. Yeah.
But I also think they need to do some private fundraising.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
We can't come up with
Yeah.
all these funds all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, my point is, it's nice to have a place to put the white line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know much about the planning department, but they have a long-term plan, they have zoning and all that stuff, and part of that plan should be consideration for bike paths or, walking paths or whatever.
We have the comprehensive plan, 2014, that we need to, it's in here. We've got to update it.
And we have a bike and pedestrian.
That's been in there, and we've had, there's a bike pedestrian plan from 2008 that was updated in 2015. So planning documents.
So where is the
are
call
there.
where is the calling for the paths? The same places that were discussed, or?
Basically the committee that you heard from tonight is following that plan.
Well, they were
So
getting.
they're taking the
published,
highest
yeah.
priority items.
Yeah.
Right now, those are Main Street and Church Street, and they've put it at the top of their list.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're doing what we can to
All right.
follow through. Yeah.
Get their research done and whatnot. Yeah. All right. We'll move along here, Matt. We get a 3-year plan on the Public Works Department. And I think that's an area that definitely we should spend some time on, and as we've discussed in the past, so in conjunction with town manager and the board and the road commissioner and whatnot, we can look and see how if it needs to be restructuring or what we can do to make things more efficient and if it's servicing the town and whatnot. So
We'll come up with a draft two-phase plan for implementation over the next 2 budget years.
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely not overnight. I was thinking, do we look into with that plan? Will we look into, surrounding towns or other towns and see how
Sure.
things work for them and, we
Yeah,
get some
definitely.
ideas
Yeah.
anyway. So,
Sure, we do that.
yeah. There's already some systems that work in other places. We don't need to reinvent the wheel either. Right?
Yeah.
So Matt, just to go back to complete phase 2 design for the waterfall. When we get going on this project, when it comes to bid and the bids are all come in and we're getting ready to start construction, I think we need to, as the town, hire our own superintendent, clerk of the works on behalf of our town, not the engineering firm. I think this project, we need to have our own independent person that represents Damariscotta, not the engineering firm.
So you're saying a clerk of the
Clerk of the
works.
Clerk of the works that works for the town.
We'll need to do that through a competitive bid process to have it covered under the
Mhm.
grant, but it doesn't have to be the lowest
Correct.
cost.
Yeah. That appears to be a full-time
Oh, yeah.
project for somebody. So I know in the past we've had
Right?
with the
That's
engineering firm.
critically important.
Part-time, they're doing
Yeah.
several other projects, but that's gonna be one that
Yeah.
we need somebody there advocating for the town the whole time and keep an eye on everything.
Non-affiliated with any of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neutral.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had that when we built Great Salt Bay.
Mhm.
We had our own clerk of the works.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there that when we get going forward, we got to figure out how to
Mhm.
build that into this project. I'm pretty clear for a couple more pages.
Are you good? Do we go back to page one again? Are you? No, that's fine.
I don't come back up till page 4.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. Where are we at now? The second page, man, are we? Yep. Seek funding for infrastructure improvements. Yeah, that's just an ongoing.
That
Yeah.
ties into that's part of the, I should put the PSAC group, the Public Safety and Accessibility Group down there too.
Mhm.
That's a key part of their mission.
Okay, yeah. And then, Heater Road. Where we stand on Heater Road now? We still have some.
I'm waiting for we've got everything in place. I've got the documents drafted, documents finalized. I just need to get Benner and Cole to sign
Gotcha.
them and have them notarized.
Remind me also that with the asphalt, we're gonna do the recycled asphalt.
We were going to do, well,
Came in-
now we have to start from scratch on that
Yeah,
because,
so-
2 years ago, Hanley had the asphalt, the recycled asphalt that they were going to give us, and we just needed to get it laid down,
Yeah.
and that's no longer.
But that
available.
was then,
I
yeah.
mean, it just, this has taken, too long.
Yeah.
And I'll send them reminder notes and I can call them again. I've talked to both of them, face to face.
Yeah.
The others have either, there's 2 others that have very small parcels. They've either agreed to it already and signed the documents or, there's not an issue there. It's just those 2.
On the right
Yeah.
of ways. Yeah. Okay.
I do think it's important to get that because I think we got to look at the drainage out there. I know we've been told that everything's running, but I recommend you guys ride out there to see what the drainage is actually.
Yeah, it definitely ponds up. And we, for the Benner property, we agreed to put a culvert in for them just for that reason. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we move along here. Next item, they consider major bond issues to address funding for road and sidewalk infrastructure improvements. That's an ongoing process right now and.
Well, that ties into the 10-year plan
The 10-year.
that Josh was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But that would tie into like the money that you have set aside for Sherman-Williams and the dollar store
Yeah, that would tie into in TIF money,
in that next.
the one on Main Street.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We've got the TIF money that we're going to allocate for the local match, the 50-50 match for the stretch of sidewalk from GSB to McDonald's.
But we also have some money that they already paid the town that they put into a pot to pay for that sidewalk already. That was part of that.
Well, they didn't pay us. Well, you're talking about the Dollar General and
Sure.
yeah, the corner there. Yeah, we have that. We've got, I think, 36,000 set aside there. Yeah.
Okay, so that's in a fund already.
Yeah, that's in that fund.
Yeah.
So I've made the MDOT folks aware of that so that they could tap in. We also have an easement agreement that I'm not very pleased with the way that ended up. I don't want to have an easement on private property. I want to have right of way that the town or the state owns. So
Yeah.
I've alerted Patrick and the Stan Loring to that, and they'll try to work something out there.
But we signed it already.
Yeah, I mean, as a fallback, we've got it,
Okay.
but we don't need to keep that. I think they should be able to get right of way when they get the right of way for the rest of the project. They should be able to get the same agreement there for that project. I mean, in retrospect, hindsight is great, but I wish we had just said, build a 5-foot sidewalk as part of this development.
Yes.
People will complain it's a corner lot that doesn't go anywhere, but
It's over with.
Right.
yeah,
And that's what we're doing from now on. from
yeah,
what I
that's what we're
understand.
doing now.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing with the Camden Plaza.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in retrospect, that would have been the thing to do. Is say, just build the sidewalk and we'll connect to it later.
And here
Yeah.
are specifications of the sidewalk. So
Right.
maybe what we do is we say for the town, if you're gonna have one of these properties that come in, these are our standards for your sidewalk.
The 5.
Yeah, that's what-
5 foot.
And-
That's
with-
what we gave to Camden Plaza. We had
Yeah.
Wright Pierce come up with the standards.
Yeah.
So as long as everybody knows what it is, it's not
Yeah,
an asphalt curb, it's
No,
a
like I say,
granite curb and,
Because you can't build it for 36,000 now.
right.
No, you can't build, no way, no way. Yeah. 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 So. Yeah, that was one of the lessons learned.
And maybe we ought to put in there a perpetual care agreement for when they put the sidewalk in, they gotta pay so much up front.
Okay. Church Street, Matt, or?
Yeah, we're gonna
Moving along
have
on
to,
that.
we've got, about what, 28,000, 30,000 allocated for the current work that's being done, the survey and the design work out of 75,000 that we have available, but we're gonna need some additional dollars. And we've got some additional private money that will come in for that, but it's gonna be a major cost. So we need to start, once we find out what we're talking about in terms of dollars, then we'll start looking for grants, donations, that sort of
Get an
thing.
idea
Where
what
does
you
the
need.
sidewalk start and end?
It starts where the sidewalk ends at Pleasant Street. We had that as a community development block grant project. And it goes all the way out to Main Street.
Oh, you mean Business Main Street?
Yeah. On
On Church
Church
Street.
follows it all the way out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we've got the money to do the design, sent them back to the drawing board. I had the survey sheets here at the last meeting. I sent them back to the drawing board saying, you need to give us some options to move the road over. Because I don't know if Corey lives in that area, but it's
He
really
does.
tight as you get
Tight.
up. Is that where he lives up
Yeah,
there?
but I don't know if he was as affected as the ones further up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What about a bike lane on that when you're moving the road over?
Pretty tight quarters.
well, I think, it was once a 50-foot right of way because it was the former Route 1 Atlantic
Mhm.
Highway. But if you go beyond, like a 5-foot walk with another 6 feet of public right of way, you're going to be on people's properties. The houses are too close to the road.
It's
and
tight down through
So
there.
we're-
The drainage issues and everything
We're-
else.
I mean, we've already discussed shifting the roadway on towards the McDonald's end, just so we don't disrupt.
Yeah.
And that's with a 5-foot.
Yeah, so I mean, it'd be wonderful if we could fit a bikeway on there, but I just don't see how we can do it.
Is the standard
squeeze.
6 feet? That seems pretty wide for a bike lane. I don't know.
How much? Yeah,
6
5 feet?
No, 6. You said 6 for a bike
I
lane?
said, well, but you put a 5-foot sidewalk in, but you include a 6-inch curb and then you've got, I'm just fudging it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a 5-foot walkway.
Right. What I'm saying is, you mentioned a 6-foot bike lane, but I don't think that you need a 6-foot bike lane. I don't know what the standard is. But
Well, even.
Well, yeah, I was saying with the sidewalk, what you're already acquiring for the sidewalk is going to be about 6 feet. To add a bike lane is, I don't think is feasible.
Okay.
That was my point with the reference to 6 feet.
Not that much width.
Anybody know what a
Yeah.
standard bike lane is?
8 feet.
A
8
standard
feet,
bike?
yeah. When
8
we've,
feet
when
wide?
we've built, if you
No.
want, if you want
Give me a
a
break.
if
Get
you
a
want a
car
bike
through that.
lane for both directions, it's 8 feet.
Yeah.
That's, I'm going back ancient history here when my previous job.
Okay,
that's-
so it's
that was
4
what we
feet on
used.
one side.
Yeah,
Okay,
4
all
feet
right,
on
that
each
makes more
side.
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got it when they turned down from McDonald's to Biscuit Road. They got the one lane. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And for a multi-purpose, just what I referred to earlier, for a multi-purpose path, it's 10 feet.
Mhm.
That's what, that's a standard that Maine DOT has.
Not that much space down through there.
No.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Well, how about Hodgson Street, and we'll move down through everything here and.
Yeah.
The CD.
Did Evan leave? Yeah. Okay. He's going to help me on the Hodgson Street. There's some, I can say this on TV. There's some issues among the neighbors there, so it's going to be hard to get a consensus on what should be done.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm
What are the-
working
what are
on
the
that.
General issues. What is,
Well, a few years ago, some of the neighbors wanted the planning board and later the staff to close down Blue Haven.
oh,
Remember
okay.
that?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
there's still some friction there.
Gotcha. All right.
And,
Yeah.
and there's significant drainage when we did that previous one.
Yeah.
In that area, the roadway is
Yeah.
pretty bad.
We've got to take care of the drainage when we do this. That's going
So-
to, that's the component that CDBG funding would pay for. They won't pay for the roadway, but they'll pay for the, their portion of the drainage if we can get a grant.
And if we can get the
Gotcha.
drainage fixed, I think the roadway will be much better off.
Yes. All right. So work in progress.
Yeah.
So,
There's just,
Um,
a number
okay.
of neighborhood issues we have to work through there.
Yeah. It's complicated.
That one is.
Complicated. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Miles Street. Where we stand on that right now?
We've got an updated quote for just the causeway and, a 1.5 increase in the elevation.
Reach out to-
5 without the sidewalk, without the greenway, 527,000. So, and Andrew has given me, Andrew Hedrick and Gartley Dorsey has given me a proposal for that modified project to go out for bid again. And I did some negotiation with him. I said, we wouldn't have gone out to bid if we knew what your last estimate was. So he took off the bid portion of that estimate, but he still has to do some reworking of the design.
Okay. Good.
So I haven't done anything on it because we're $127,000 shy of what the engineer's estimate is. And my thought is, why would we go out to bid again for the third time
Without the money.
without having
Money.
the funds
Right, yeah.
identified?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really awkward.
Yeah.
It really puts contract that
Yeah.
position
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
It was,
put in the time to put together. So what I'm recommending to you, and I'll be recommending at that public hearing, is that we use the COVID money. Stormwater is a legitimate use.
Right.
And there's $61,000 of of stormwater drainage in that project. So if we could take 61,000 out of our 227,000, we can put it into that. So that's going to leave, assuming the engineer's estimate is correct, 60 to 70,000 more that we're going to need to come up
Yeah.
with.
That's much more manageable than.
Right. Yeah. That brings it down. Yeah. And we'll,
I think I shared with you, but I'll repeat it, that we will have lost an opportunity for a sidewalk on that main road if we don't build it now. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're going to just build the one retaining wall
if we go with this reduced scope, one retaining wall and a very limited width for the roadway. So you won't be able to add a sidewalk later.
Add in later, yeah.
I get a question on the water line. The water line that goes down that, is that a private line?
It's a
or-
private line under a public road, and had some email discussions back and forth with Scott Abatoni and with Andrew Hedrick. Andrew's saying that the water line itself would be $150,000 to $200,000 to replace. I've let the hospital know that we wouldn't consider this part of their contribution to replacing the causeway.
Right,
They
yeah,
still have
that's
to come up
separate.
with their 200,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they need to find a funding source for that. And then I've given them a lead on some money, on some grant money, but it's only available if that turns into a public water line, which I think it should. That's my opinion. It's under a public
But if
roadway.
it's gotta be built to the standards of what?
It has to
the
be
water
built.
district.
It has to be built to the standards. And Scott gave us a kind of a rough outline of what the standards would be. And then the water district should take it over at that point.
Yeah,
So when the
under
road got
public way.
turned over, the utilities didn't. Is that right?
It did not. They did not. But the road, it's a long history here. Now, you know, we accepted it as a town way in 1947.
40 something, yeah, 47 or 48.
46 or 47. And I don't know, you know, that was long preceded the water line. So I think the hospital probably came along afterwards, built the water line on their own.
Well, we got through the sewer in the parking lot. We should be able to get through this.
Yeah. Breeze right through.
I mean, we just have to continue to be nags, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it should be done right, though.
Oh, it should. Well, definitely. I mean, there's no question. The water line ought to be replaced when the causeway is fixed.
Yeah. And
It's just a matter of.
beneficial joint venture for all
Yeah.
three parties involved.
Well,
so-
but we're not gonna
But we
step
don't.
up to pay
No,
for the water
no.
line.
No.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So that's where that is.
Okay.
That's, I mean, I'll try to keep my answers more brief.
That's all
But
right.
that's
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah, we have the parking lot, the fire station parking lot, that's pushed back a little bit, right?
Yeah,
That's
till
still-
fall.
It's till fall.
Till fall.
Yeah, so that's in
I said
process.
if they did they work down in our municipal parking lot, we could wait until fall. And I talked with John about that. He's okay with it.
Okay.
You didn't put the light rail in here, Matt. Putting light rail around transport around town.
We're doing light rail that way?
Yeah,
Some
Matt's-
Amtrak money?
Yeah,
That's what
that's what Matt did. in
I did. That's
Colorado.
what I did in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you can find the money for it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll just keep moving down through here. If anybody has any
Yeah, the traffic
thoughts and
and
suggestions, we'll.
traffic and parking, we've had that on the back burner, but that needs to be updated with some of the changes we've made in the parking lot, including the EV station. Or a few other items that need to be looked at on that. So there was a draft on my desk when we started, but I think before I came, maybe that wasn't acceptable, and then we just put it on the
Kinda-
back burner. It's not one of those urgent things,
Got
but
shoved to the side.
yeah, but we need to address it. Yeah.
Matt, I didn't notice enough of the EV parking spots. Are those painted yet?
They're painted,
Okay.
but the lines are painted
Yeah.
and the signs are there and
The
going
sign-
in the
yeah, I
correct
was gonna-
direction.
That's where I was going with that.
I went down. But yeah, the signs are there. The lines are painted. I want Hugh to go back and with a stencil put EV only
Gotcha, yeah,
on the two
yeah.
spaces.
Yeah, the sign on the end, and that's when I talked to, because it was turned so that the handicap spot was
The wrong,
in the road.
wrong side. Yeah. And then
So I just wondered if it was a
the
place.
arrow went
The arrow
went
was
the wrong direction.
Yeah, point out.
So I went down, I looked at it and I said, no one would have done that. I mean, I got to give my folks more credit. So I thought about it and then I went back and sure enough, I turned.
So I know that's all it was. I would have just
Somebody
gone down and done it.
Somebody had turned it 180.
I'll keep an eye on it.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But there's been, I saw some vehicles in. I know you had emailed me.
Yeah, and then there was
I've seen a
There was
few.
one this morning. I checked. There was
Is
a
there? Yeah.
Massachusetts plate with a Chevy Volt. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's been
Or
yours.
Bolt, whatever.
Good enough, yeah. Chevy Bolt. Yeah.
Bolt, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there. I've seen a few vehicles in there, so. All right, we'll moving along to economic development. Is that where we're at now? Yep. So we'll go down through. If there's anything anybody jumps out or anybody wants to go through, Matt, what are the high points through here? that you
Well, I
wanna
did,
touch base on
I'm
anything?
talking to businesses.
Yeah.
I think I've got a fairly good rapport with most businesses in town, so. Open communications.
Except J&J Grocery, right? Except J&J Grocery. J&J Grocery.
The grocery? Oh,
Yeah.
Grocery.
oh, yeah, well, that's, if you've got a few hours, we could
Yeah.
discuss that too.
How
Yeah.
often, how often do you go down there and talk to them?
I go down, well, I'm down there at least once a week.
And you go into the store?
I go in, well, I don't like to bother them now, but because they're so busy. But I do go in, I talk to them in the street and such. Yeah. So I'm down there at least once a week.
He comes down and drags me out.
Yeah.
Parades around town.
Yeah.
Puts a dunce cap on Daryl, says, look at him.
Well,
I'll
Daryl
attest.
can.
I've seen him
Daryl can
downtown. I'll
attest,
just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen him around, yeah. Yeah, but it's good to, that's good to see. And I'll say the same thing with the police department, and public officials, having people around, put a face to everything, and it makes a big difference for people.
Yeah, right now, like I say, I don't like to bother them because everyone's just
It's
going
it's
nuts with
insane. Yeah.
the crowds down there. Yeah.
Yeah, in a good way. So, okay, yeah. All right, yeah, we'll move through and, the formula store ordinance, that's been something that's been in the works for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year.
Last year, right, yeah. Mm.
Are you on the,
Um,
the formula store?
yeah, we're moving through
Oh,
economic
yeah.
development
I
here,
mean,
sorry.
that's a big
Yeah.
decision on, when we come to that, the planning board, land use advisory committee has approved an ordinance. And we'll get that on the agenda for a town meeting.
Yeah,
With a public hearing,
Yeah.
but that could be quite controversial. You're
Could be,
saying
yeah.
you're not allowing any business in town that has more than 19 stores, anywhere.
Yeah.
So you're telling Starbucks, McDonald's, Burger King, they can't go downtown.
right.
And the
right.
C1. C1.
And see.
That's just in C1, right, yeah.
So that-
So, well, we'll get the,
could be a-
the public's gonna be, people are gonna
That's
have
the issue. So, yeah.
have opinions and thoughts on that. So, yeah. All right. How's the Chamber of Commerce stuff? How's that? With the acquisition there, man, how's that going? Is the next one down?
We're waiting. We are
Still
waiting.
waiting, right?
Every, it seems like every month now, I send a note to the state, our contact at Maine DOT and say, where the heck is this? The response is, I'll check and get back to you. It's like this cycle. They have just put this, their appraisal division has put this on the back.
So can we take that by eminent domain from the state? If they don't hurry up?
We get squatters' rights on it? Just have
Put
somebody stay
30
there?
days notice, yeah.
Well, I mean,
If
if
we
you're
have
willing
to
to put the money into legal
We have to,
services.
I mean,
We like to spend money on legal.
I don't really want to, but if they're not gonna get moving here, then maybe we'll speed up things.
How long has it been?
Oh,
It's been a year.
yeah.
Yeah, since, and John Roberts and Jim Gallagher, they were just raring to go initially, and now they're saying, what the heck,
Yeah.
They still want to do it, but they're very discouraged by this.
Yeah.
We did all the paperwork we needed to do on our end, and now it's just a matter we're in the queue for an appraisal and they haven't been able to do it.
Nice looking
Truthfully, they
building,
should
all
just-
ready to go on it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's well designed.
Building has been designed and everything.
Yeah,
They're all
looks like a
ready
great-
to go.
Yeah,
Great plan for it, so.
they should just give it to us. Hell of the appraisal.
Well, yeah,
It's not,
that's what I'd ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
just
just
keep
tell 'em
poking them
what-
and poking them.
But they have to do it, according to them, they have to do the appraisal.
So
And then we negotiate it from there. We've
Do
already
we have any,
signed.
do we have any political leverage, any, representatives in the government?
So I think it's a mistake
Yeah,
to
we could.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah, why not?
state elected officials in.
Yeah.
But if we say the board talked about eminent domain, that might get them moving.
Well,
Just gonna make
I'll
them
call
nervous,
them
do
again
you?
tomorrow.
I think Chloe
said, where are you?
would be good.
You know,
Chloe would be good at that.
but I see Matt's point. where we don't-
Yeah, it doesn't help to bring
Sometimes.
elected officials in on those types of issues. So that's my experience.
But we can force it a little bit.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can,
Keep
yeah, I'll call
pressure
them.
on.
Poke the
Yeah.
bear.
I'll let them know. I'll let them know of the board's concern and how long this is taking. Yeah.
Put the deed together, send them $100. Have them sign it.
Yeah.
good idea.
So. Yeah, I mean, we need to get the appraisal. And then we begin the negotiation process. And I start at zero and we meet somewhere. And then when we arrive at a number, we figure out who's going to pay for it.
We could send them a check and a thank you letter
So
for.
if they cash it.
They look.
Yeah.
So
I
When
didn't know
we
we
get-
agreed to
when
that.
do we
but
get an
must have.
appraiser? Give them the appraisal.
Yeah.
we have our assessed valuation.
Hmm.
And it's been so long, I don't even recall. I think that was 47,000, something to that effect.
So $5 it is.
So Jim could update that, right? We could send it to him, to see if that moves him.
Yeah, but it's going to be based on a willing buyer, or willing seller sort of analysis. They just need to give us a price
Yeah.
to start
They
the
need to get moving.
negotiation.
Yeah.
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 And then maybe at that point, we get the elected officials involved and we say, hey, you ought to just give it to the town. But,
Okay.
or do we ask them to approve a bill, or pass legislation that they give it to the town?
It's just probably relatively low priority right now and it's just getting
Yeah.
pushed
Oh,
aside.
you
I'll
know-
call- like
you
I
know
say,
they
I'll-
didn't work for about a year. so
Yeah.
we
I'll
gotta
call
get
them,
that
I'll
back
call
on.
them tomorrow again.
So.
Well, unless we're
I
still working.
can send you the thread of emails, but I think you
Okay.
get the drift. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll move along here and I think we've touched base on broadband already, haven't we?
Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah.
Mhm.
With Evan there. Museum in the streets.
Is that something you want to continue to pursue? I mean, Bob has done some of the initial footwork on that and found some potential grant money.
There's some action with the Historical Society now too, right there, with the Damariscotta Historical Society.
The Historical Society, I don't know that it's ready for public airing, but they've been looking at a place for a museum.
Yeah, that's probably,
Well, this would be different.
This is different, but-
This is what they have not Newcastle, Wiscasset, with the placards out in front of the historic
right,
buildings.
yeah.
And that's what this would be.
Wonder if what they can, if they can be involved in that. I mean,
Oh,
they're
they
gonna
have
the-
been. They
Right,
have been.
yeah,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that's what.
Yeah, that we've got this informal committee that's been working with Bob on.
So they're-
on, making sure that whatever we put on the plaques is accurate.
You can't just make it up.
Yeah, that's right. We can make us some pretty good stories, but.
Oh, yeah, they can make some rip roaring stories, so.
Hey, I get
In this spot in 18.
Yeah. This guy passed out.
Well, let's move along here. Community
Oh,
development.
yeah, is that
comprehensive
something you
plan.
want to have us
it's-
continue, but as a lower priority? Yeah.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
not,
It's
not hurting anything to keep.
It's
looking
an
into it,
economic
so.
development deal.
Yeah. I
Um,
think so.
Okay, one of the uses, the potential uses of the COVID money is pursuing affordable housing. And I don't know if you've got any views on that, but we do need that. I hear that from employers here in the area that they just can't, people just can't afford to
Yeah.
live here to enable them to work here. And that was the top priority when I met with Cindy Wade a few weeks ago.
Okay.
But was it, when Ledgewood Court came in, wasn't that supposed to be working with Miles at the time, Mark, to find affordable housing for their employees? Do you remember that? I think they were like help sponsor type, that type of thing.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I know there was some elderly housing out there, right?
So. But where you gonna put it?
Yeah.
Well, we've got 3 locations that have come up over the last couple of years, and we've talked to developers, but we just haven't been able to get over that last hump.
Yeah. Well, let's go down through. Anything you want to touch base on the crosswalk light or?
Oh, I'm waiting for, final numbers from contractors so that we can figure out what balance we've got in the Bristol Road sidewalk project. And then if we've got somewhere between 25 and 28,000, Maine DOT is agreeable to allowing us to use the grant money for the pedestrian walkway, but I don't know if we'll have that kind of
Let me see
money.
if you have the money. Yeah.
Come with a coat of paint on the side, the crosswalk?
Is that the same
That needs to
that,
be painted.
Is it? The one there. Yeah.
would that be the same up in, like, the Biskie Road and Church?
It would be similar to what we have on Main Street over here next to Mobius and what, the
Oh, okay, yeah.
the
Same.
Yeah.
coastal rivers put in between the Whaleback Trailhead
Okay.
and GSB.
Right.
So that's what we're
Okay.
looking at.
Yeah.
I kind of like, especially on a state highway like that, I would hope we could put in brighter flashing lights too, because I don't think those are as noticeable.
Oh, gotcha.
They
Yeah.
do work though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good setup. Yeah. Everybody sees it. So. All right. Yeah, we've touched on the Church Street and the sidewalks and whatnot there. Any questions on that? Move along. Josh, when's your list coming up here? You got-
First one.
Okay. All right. All right. So we're looking at intergovernmental connections.
I think we've got very good relationships with our surrounding communities and with the sanitary district.
So I guess on the sanitary water district is looking 10 to 15 years out, maybe 5 years, expanding the water system, running it from Standpipe to Egypt Road to the intersection, or Standpipe to Lesnar Road intersection, and Standpipe Road to through Back Meadow to the Egypt Road intersection. Is their plan, finding out what their plan is for any type of expansion in the town of Damariscotta and what funding sources that we could look at, not only for water for houses, but for the hydrant system for fire protection. Just to see if there's any way the thought process is to expand their system.
I think Josh brings up a good point, and I'd like to see him be put into this responsibility situation, and because he knows so much about it, and meet with the sanitary district to find out what that long-term plan is.
That seems to tie into looking at affordable housing somewhat too, with developers, you don't have utilities in areas and it's long-term plans, long-term plans.
Because you bring up some good points.
Yeah.
The district isn't going to pay for it. It's either got to be the developer or using some grant money.
Right, but if they'd like to expand and we can find some funds that are available to work with them to expand the system, not only to improve fire protection, but the quality of water for some homeowners. If we can look at that.
I did work with Scott on development of a proposal for a marine-focused industrial park at Center Street. Do you remember that? So we had all the numbers together. We just the developer didn't have any prospects for businesses, so we couldn't put a TIF there. So we really didn't have a funding source. But I mean, in that particular case, CMP, the water district, this was the two. You know, they're willing to take part in it, but they're not gonna
pay for it.
They're not gonna pay for it. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, they're not even
to
gonna-
Josh's point, though, you wonder, do they have plans in place? You know, I think something that's helped this town
Well,
along is we've had
I doubt that
projects.
they do.
Yeah, well, we've had projects kind of ready, and when the money's available, you're ready to go. and,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it seems
I
like
mean,
they want to be
They
in the
don't
same
do things,
position.
they don't do things on spec, you know, they don't, say we'll front end it and then they'll get reimbursed when the development goes in.
Right,
Yeah, which would be
Yeah.
fantastic, but that's not the way it operates.
Yeah.
No, but it would be nice to
Long-term plan.
see that, hey, we're gonna put in 5 years, we're gonna put 300 feet of a water line down through, we're gonna put one hydrant or something like that down this road. You know,
Well, what would you like us to do from the town standpoint on this? Just.
I don't
sit down
know.
with
I
the-
guess if I just talk to, I guess if I'm allowed to talk to Scott about it and just say, hey, what monies are available, coming up, or, 5 years, do you foresee what programs are available if you want to expand your system? And if the town can help you in any way to expand that
Well,
system,
this.
with grant funding solutions, is there any way we can look into that?
I'd go further though and make it an official thing that we ask Josh to go to a meeting and let him know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that way they will respond back to us, because I'm sure they must have a grand plan of 10 years down the road. We would like to know.
Yeah, just start a conversation and
Yeah, just,
so we're all working together.
Okay, so
I think
we'll put that
Yeah.
down.
I
and put Josh on.
I don't mind doing the legwork, and I don't mind
Yeah.
talking to Scott and just to get the ball rolling.
There's I've got the book here, the American Rescue Plan, the dollars that the county will be getting, the 6.7 million can be used for water, wastewater improvements.
Right.
So there's a source. There's a clean water state revolving fund
Mhm.
that can be used.
Right.
You've got to meet some pretty tight criteria.
Right, but
But
if we
there-
can
there-
get things,
There are funds available.
if there's funds available, and most of them, like you said before, if you have a plan in place that you're working on, you've identified and you've identified it. So if we can identify these areas and then the funding sources just kind of fall in our lap, then we're good to go and start working.
You're ready for them. Just have a plan in place.
I get a question for Max, because Max said it's got to be in a planning stage for some of these monies that's already been in the process. If we went to the sanitary district and they had a grand plan where they want to expand that water, as being part of that, would that qualify us to be able to look at it from that angle?
I mean, if you have a plan, then like, you can do, like,
Probably
Yeah, come on up.
putting Max on the spot.
Grab the mic.
So what's the question exactly?
The question would be is some of these funds that are coming available,
Right.
we were supposed to have some of this in the planning stage. Is that correct? Like, to use COVID money or not?
Yeah, well, it depends what the subject is.
Water?
Yeah, water, sewer, if you have a shovel ready, then yeah, they'd like to have like some planning stages and some justification behind it.
So what I'm saying is the town, even though the water district is a separate entity, we are still part of that.
Right.
And they did have a plan that showed they would like to expand water in our town.
Yeah.
Can
That's
we,
good.
can we
Yeah,
use
use it.
that plan?
Yeah. Use
Okay.
it 100%.
So that's why I'm
Yeah.
trying
That's
to,
where we're reaching out. Yeah.
Here's the wording that's in the.
thanks, Max.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rules. It says.
Didn't mean to throw you.
Investments in water, sewer, and broadband. Recipients may use FRF award funds. That's just, that's the COVID money. To make necessary investments in water, sewer, and broadband. Recipients may use
the funds to cover costs incurred for eligible projects planned or started prior to March 3rd, 2021. So that's what you're asking.
Yeah. Right, but if we, there may be other rounds coming out.
Yeah.
So if you can.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, just be prepared.
So if they have a plan, I'm not aware of it, but if they have a plan,
Josh can bring it back to us already.
find out.
Yeah.
So,
I'm good with that.
okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to put you down for that.
Coming right back at you on the charter.
I would have to abstain from that.
All right, well, we'll move along here. Next line there, Matt, anything on, continue to work closely with the school district? That's just an ongoing,
Yeah.
move on to,
Again, yeah.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
worked with them well. I've been working with the 3 members of the school committee as well as the finance director and the superintendent very closely. So, yeah, that's a good relationship there.
good. Okay. And citizens communications and outreach, and we can just go down through if there's anything that,
Yeah,
anything out of the ordinary.
I think the Land Use Advisory Committee is geared up to take on the comprehensive plan. And there are probably 2 or 3 more citizens that would like to take part in that. So
Okay,
I put a deadline for us for November to get that up and running.
sounds good.
I think we're maximizing the use of LCTV for the third one.
We are right there.
Well, worth the
How you
money.
doing, Larry?
Sleep yet?
I'm trying to move things along here. Oh, yeah.
This is 2 meetings, right?
This is
There was
just a
no time
workshop.
limit.
We
There
make
was
it
no
at
time
meetings.
limit.
We make a motion for that. I can't remember.
You can set a time limit.
Yeah.
Flat rate. Yeah, we move down through. Is anything that jumps out?
Yeah, I don't know
anybody on the
whether
next-
you, I guess we'll decide in the next part of the workshop, whether you want a charter commission to make a major overhaul or whether it's just a few areas where you want to have amendments. That's the last one on that
Okay,
page.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Anything on there? Let's,
hey, Daryl,
yeah, we're
we're
gonna,
at 8 o'clock.
I think we're gonna table the charter, the charter discussion tonight anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to poll the board to.
No,
But the only thing on that is, if we want to make a November election and we have to do a general election because we won't have the percentages that we need to get anything passed if we just do a regular June election.
I think it's gonna take a year for some of these, if you get all the process, because we're not gonna make.
It's not an emergency.
We're not
Well,
gonna
again, it
make-
decides, you have to decide what level you want. Do you
Right.
want a commission to come in and look at revamping the charter, or do you want to just go through and make some changes like in the waiver of bid requirements and that sort of thing? Just
I
kind of
think we just got to
tweaking it.
go through it first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll just
but
go
I-
through it and we'll wait, we'll table that. till
But you
next-
gotta meet certain timetables.
Well, that's what I'm saying is.
It's not gonna happen.
We got to, let's see, we're almost into September, and if we want to make the general election, that's, first,
Yeah.
for-
not gonna
first
happen.
Tuesday after the
Right.
first
Yeah.
Monday in November.
So Mark, looks like,
Next meeting.
yeah, you're the lead man on charter.
Okay.
But I will ask a couple individuals because I think they were on the initial charter
Yeah, I get the original right here.
committee,
It should be on the,
just to see if they might
should be in that document I sent out.
Yeah, reach out. and see if
reach
they
out
have
and
anything.
see.
Yeah.
They may want to
Um,
Set in on it.
set in.
I don't think we're looking at a major
I don't
rewrite
know.
or anything.
No.
There's just a few things that we're looking at to
Yeah.
maybe reword or revamp or
Union 74 is gone.
explore. Yeah, that's true. So it's not a huge amount of changes and they're not,
Yeah, it's not in here.
emergency changes.
Sometimes they put in there who was on the commission, but I don't-
I think I know a few people that were on it, so
Right.
I'm gonna put a couple feelers out there. and
Well, let's just, yeah, we'll table that till next, and the last two items under the goals and action plans, anybody? Coastal rivers and the EV charging station we talked about.
Yeah, and Daryl asked me about publicizing it, which we can do, and I think Evan has already done a little piece in the newspaper on it, but the response is going to come from people who have EV vehicles and are traveling through and they look at their app. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, that's where I was.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Is there a central clearing system?
That's the original.
Yes, there's several. Yeah.
Okay, so are we on that?
Talk to Chris.
Yes. Efficiency Maine has one, and then Evan,
Day, maybe.
the other Evan, made sure we were on a couple others.
Okay.
So, but I think Efficiency Maine takes care of all of that.
All right.
There's already, I saw a Massachusetts car there today. Over the weekend, there was a New Hampshire car. So I think they're obviously seeking us out.
We ought to see sometime, check in, see who's the furthest one away. Who made the most
Well, we can have
stops.
Daryl look out. So,
Speaker on the
Try.
phone.
cards, yeah.
Oh, geez, you came from California?
All right, is there? any-
Okay, these are okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good on the.
Did you have any to add
I-
other than
That's
what
what
we've
just asked
talked
the board,
about?
if anybody has anything to add to the
Here's
goals
one.
and plans at this point.
This is not a tunnel vision work plan, that's for sure. It's not all
No.
fixated on the waterfront, so I'm
Right.
good with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this
Yep.
town, so I think it's a good comprehensive plan.
You want to make a motion to adjourn? I will.
Can't, because it's already a workshop, so,
Yeah.
we already,
I'm just hinting. Let's go.
we can go. All we
Mark
do
would
is
like
come
to make a
out.
motion to adjourn. He's gonna
Yeah.
second it and we're
No
gonna vote for it.
motions. We just-
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, lead reporter.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Linda.
Linda, thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
I'd say-
You got a good
Taking good notes. You want to just write out your notes for me?
Yeah.
And then I can just make sure that
And
I haven't missed
what I'll
anything.